Chapter 1. Top floor of the Future Technology Building in Queens, New York. A figure stood in a position overlooking the entire city, quietly staring at the projection on the glass wall. Shocked. Captain Steve's previous life was actually an ordinary farmer in the European countryside. The previous life of the world's richest man, owner of 100% of Stark Industries, and superhero Iron Man Tony was actually a poor beggar. It has been a month since the past life exposure screen came to Earth. So far, a total of 6 people have been chosen to have their past lives exposed, including a famous superhero and a vicious criminal superhuman. The 7th exposure is about to begin. Who will be chosen by past life exposure screen this time? Let us wait and see. Snap. Lin Lang snapped his fingers, the news disappeared, the glass in front of him gradually became transparent, and he was able to see the New York sky. But in the blue sky, a huge amount of light came into view. No. Not only in New York, but also in Wakanda, Camartage, Asgard, and even those alien planets. As long as intelligent creatures in the entire galaxy look up, they can see this extremely huge and magnificent screen. And this screen was the one that suddenly appeared more than a month ago, the screen that exposed the previous life. Looking at the magnificent screen in the sky, Lin Lang frowned slightly. He is not from the Marvel world, but a time traveler, and this is not even his first time traveling through time. In other words, before traveling to the Marvel world, he had already experienced reincarnation several times. Since awakening the SCP Foundation member role-playing system, Lin Lang's first time traveling was to the SCP Foundation world where survival difficulty could be described as hell. That's right, it is a world full of various anomalies that cannot be understood by common sense. From a bowl that can continuously produce noodle soup to evil gods, supreme divinity, creator, upper-level narrative, and other various incredible existences. In terms of the difficulty of survival alone, the world where the SCP Foundation is located can definitely be ranked among the top 3 worlds on the conceptual level. After witnessing a world torn by war, anti-human terrorists, and cults, with countless innocent people dying, he chose to join the SCP Foundation. After that, Lin Lang participated in various anomaly containment and different identities throughout the history of the Foundation, fighting against reality twisters, gods, and various evil organizations. From D-class personnel, to mobile task force members, to researchers, doctors, supervisors, all the way to the end. When SCP-001 was finally contained, Lin Lang also completed his mission. When the system completely dissipated, Lin Lang chose to leave the world where the SCP Foundation was located and came to the new world. And this new world is the Marvel Universe. In this world, which is relatively safe for the SCP Foundation, I thought I could live a peaceful life, but only a year later, the previous life exposure screen came. In the entire Marvel Universe, everyone has the possibility of being selected by the past life exposure screen, and having their past life experiences extracted and exposed on the big screen. In other words, everyone has the potential to be selected and become a big celebrity in the entire Marvel Universe. Definitely, it could also become a big joke of the entire Marvel Universe. For example, the previously selected Captain Steve, who would have thought that the superhero who is now promoted as the embodiment of justice was actually just an unknown farmer in his previous life. The famous Iron Man Tony has not appeared in public for half a month after it was revealed that he was a beggar in his previous life. For the vast majority of ordinary people, once selected, they can become a universal celebrity and gain enormous wealth. But Lin Lang. When I think of the memories of my past life, those MIM infections that could easily distort my thoughts, or the containment objects that could be hunted across the universe just by looking at them. Lin Lang shook his head slightly. Let's just forget it. Even if those containments had been neutralized by him, or completely contained, he did not want his memories to be exposed. His previous life was too tiring, and now, he just wants to live an ordinary life. However, Murphy's Law seems to have been confirmed again. The less you want something, the more it will come. Just as Lin Lang was deep in thought, a magnificent and sacred voice descended from the sky. Previous life exposure system, start random drawing. The planet drawn this time, blue star. This system will expose the previous life of the person being extracted in the form of a video. The moment the sound rang out, the whole human race was boiling. People rushed to tell each other and gathered together to argue. Everyone is looking forward to this draw. Finally. In the spotlight. Bite. Drawing completed. The person who exposed this incident is data expunged of the SCP Foundation, sizzle, sizzle. This is... Something went wrong? When the screen that exposed the previous life of the creature that was regarded as a creation of God began to flicker abnormally and even the sound was affected by some force, countless humans who looked up seemed to have their still button pressed. An unprecedented fear and shock surged in everyone's heart. The previous life exposure system is malfunctioning? In an instant, the whole world was in an uproar. Fortunately, as soon as this happened, the big screen seemed to have returned to normal. The person exposed this time, the owner of Future Technology Foundation, Lin Lang, however, before everyone could breathe a sigh of relief, this time the draw actually included a rare warning-style prompt sound. Warn. The previous life of the person exposed this time involves extremely dangerous factors, including but not limited to mimetic infection, reality distortion, SAN value clearing, and other irreversible situations. Therefore, during this exposure period, anyone can choose to refuse to watch. Please choose rationally whether to watch the exposure. Danmu System Development, Extraordinary Chat Group Open. When a series of warning prompts appeared, the entire Marvel Universe was shocked. Chapter 2. What the hell? What the hell? What happened? Oh my god, just now, the miracle past life exposure screen actually malfunctioned because of one person. Oh my god, who on earth is this Lin Lang? His past life actually caused the system to issue a warning? He must be crazy. At this moment, everyone on Blue Star was stunned. Everything that had just happened was completely beyond their understanding. It's simply unbelievable. Not only was the system's live broadcast room flooded with comments, but even in the Extraordinary Chat Group, some rare figures began to speak. Extraordinary Chat Group Captain Steve, what's going on? Am I crazy or is this world crazy? The system actually issued a warning to the entire universe because of one person? Deadpool, let me correct you. It's because of a person's past life. So, who is this Lin Lang? S.H.I.E.L.D. can't find out, right? No way, no way. S.H.I.E.L.D. Director Nick Fury, Lin Lang Longwo, 28 years old, orphan, unmarried. At the same time, he is also the sole shareholder of the famous galaxy company Future Technology. This is the information we found, but, obviously, it is not very credible. Tony, shit. There are people who are richer than me? Also, what did this guy do in his previous life? Also, what is mimetic infection? What are reality benders and SAN values? Ancient One, unfortunately, with my ability, I cannot predict the existence of that world. Thor, to be honest, I find it hard to accept that there are beings more incredible than gods. Loki, you. In the Extraordinary Chat Group, a large number of members appeared one after another and chatted enthusiastically. In the real world, the appearance of this mysterious figure also caused a stir. S.H.I.E.L.D. Headquarters. Looking at the word Lin Lang that kept appearing in the Super Chat group, S.H.I.E.L.D. Director Nick Fury's already dark face became even darker. Because even S.H.I.E.L.D., after trying every possible means, could not find out Lin Lang's true identity. As for those seemingly simple news, it was obvious that they were just smokescreens thrown by Lin Lang. Whether Lin Lang is a supernatural being or a member of some unknown organization, it is unacceptable to Nick Fury. Nothing can escape S.H.I.E.L.D.'s control. Stark Industries Building. Tony frowned as he shook his glass. Jarvis, the efficiency is not so good this time. I'm sorry, Master. I can't find any more information about Lin Lang or the system warning in the database I have access to. After a pause, the voice of the intelligent butler Jarvis sounded again. The information about Future Technology Company has been sorted out and extracted. If you need it. Hearing this, Tony drank the wine in his glass in one gulp and put it on the table roughly. Damn it, I hate that someone is more mysterious than me. But I have to say, this Lin Lang should also be a genius. After that, he changed his tone. Jarvis, try to contact the other party, I plan to cooperate with him. Remember, you must be polite to geniuses like me. Camartage. The cold winds blowing in from the spine of the world are blocked by an invisible barrier. The apprentices who used to practice devoutly gathered together at the first level and chattered. Oh my god, who on earth is this guy? Yeah, it's too mysterious. Even the Sorcerer Supreme doesn't understand. By the way, what did he do in his previous life? A transcendent? A mutant? Or was he from some alien civilization? Inside the main hall, a bald woman wearing a robe and whose age could not be determined stood with her hands behind her back and her head raised, looking up at the light curtain above the sky with a complicated look in her eyes. As the Sorcerer Supreme and in charge of the Time Gem, it can be said that even in the entire galaxy, there are few who can threaten her existence. As for her knowledge, it far exceeds any super-intelligence that currently exists on Blue Planet. But even so, she knew nothing about this Lin Lang who suddenly appeared. Especially after the previous world exposure system issued serious warnings one after another, the ancient one who tried to explore that world actually felt a fatal threat. Even if there is only the intention to investigate, is there such a big risk? Wakanda Palace. As a prince, T'Challa tried to dissuade his father. Father, since even the miracle system has issued such a severe warning, for safety's sake, let me watch this exposure. On the throne, the wise old king smiled and shook his head. The king of Wakanda is not afraid of any danger. Just as the audience throughout the Marvel Universe was arguing, the system, which had been silent for several minutes, finally changed again. Suddenly, a 1-minute countdown appeared on the light screen. Obviously, once the countdown is over, the previous life of Lin Lang chosen by the system will be revealed. At the same time, the future technology building. The super-intelligent butler named S.H.I.E.L.D by Lin Lang reminded, Master, Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Tony Stark, the boss of Stark Industries, have sent invitations one after another and want to visit you. Lin Lang, who was standing by the window, raised his eyebrows and said lightly, wait a little longer. Besides, your friend Mr. Peter Parker has arrived at the entrance of the building. Let him in. If Lin Lang has any friends after coming to the Marvel world, little Spider-Man is one of them. Unfortunately, this guy doesn't know that Lin Lang already knows his true identity. In less than half a minute, the little Spider-Man in a classic battle suit jumped in front of Lin Lang in a few steps and said in an extremely exaggerated tone, damn it, I always thought you were just an ordinary person who is approachable. Lin Lang shrugged, correction, it's ordinary people. Besides, I never denied that I also have super abilities. Little Spider-Man was stunned and asked in surprise, what is your super ability? Lin Lang smiled, super rich. Little Spider-Man. Damn it, what about your past life? What on earth did you do that caused the system to issue such a serious warning? Without waiting for Lin Lang to speak, he quickly said, I mean, what if there is really danger? Hearing this, Lin Lang turned and looked at the light screen in the sky, don't worry, everything is under control. Not to mention little Spider-Man, even Lin Lang himself was extremely curious about how the system would deal with the things he experienced in his past life. You know, even for him, it took him a lot of effort to barely deal with those tricky things. Finally, just as Lin Lang finished speaking, the countdown on the light screen reached the last second. Immediately afterwards, that grand and solemn voice rang out simultaneously throughout the Marvel world. The first issue of the previous Life series. Chapter 3. This issue's protagonist, Lin Lang. Major organizations in this world, SCP Foundation, GOC, Global Occult Coalition, Mechanics, Sarcasm, Chaos Insurgency. Keywords of this issue, D-Class Personnel, Containment Breach, Decedent. As several lines of subtitles disappeared, people who were already extremely curious about Lin Lang's past life instantly became excited. In the system's live broadcast room, countless comments almost covered the entire screen. What the hell? I thought I was so awesome, but this is all I get. Yeah, the system is still warning seriously, can't we at least use some well-known ones? Let's not talk about organizations like Hydra, can we at least use a mutant organization? What the hell is this SCP Foundation? What the hell is this Sarkic cult? I've never heard of them. I suddenly lost my expectations for this exposure. I might as well watch Iron Man begging for food. Ha ha ha. As the barrage of comments continued to refresh the screen, the voices in the extraordinary chat group gradually calmed down. Especially S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury, who thought that the Lin Lang warned by the system would be of great importance, but it turned out to be some small sect he had never heard of. The opponents that my S.H.I.E.L.D. pays attention to are either Red Skull or Professor X. What could a guy like you have in your previous life? Thinking of this, he stopped his busy assistant and said, wait, Maria, take back the previous order and lower Lin Lang's threat level to the lowest. Meanwhile, in the Stark Industries building. Jarvis, I don't think it's necessary to work with this guy. I only deal with top talents like myself. J.A.R.V.I.S. Camartage. What? I thought he was so amazing. That's right, there are no mutants, no superheroes, and not even magic. It's a waste of time. There's really no need for Sorcerer Supreme to know about this guy. Hearing the discussions of the apprentices in the courtyard, a hint of worry flashed across the usually calm face of the Ancient One. Really, is it that simple? Finally, with a flash of light, Lin Lang's previous life began. Throughout the Marvel world, countless humans looked up at the light curtain in the sky. And suddenly a low voice was heard on the originally dark screen. This is a world with anomalies. Humans have been around for 250,000 years, but only the last 4,000 years are meaningful. So, what have we been doing for nearly 250,000 years? We hid in caves, sat around small campfires, and feared things we did not understand. The explanations of how the sun rose, the monsters with human heads and bird bodies, the living stones. As the voice sounded, an image appeared on the screen. On a planet that looks like a blue planet, no traces of civilization have yet appeared. It was vaguely visible that there were creatures that looked like humans hiding in the cave, staring with horror at the eternal darkness outside the cave. Those fleeting terrifying figures, like darkness, constantly erode and devour the world. Some people walked out of the cave, but more of them turned back and hid in the haze of fear. They carved those strange scenes that were difficult to describe in words on the cave, and knelt down and prayed to them. So we call them gods and demons and ask for their forgiveness and pray for salvation. After that, their number decreased, and our number increased. As we feared fewer and fewer things, we began to see the world more rationally. However, the inexplicable things did not disappear, as if the universe deliberately wanted to show absurdity and incredibleness. Humanity cannot survive in fear. Nothing can protect us, we must protect ourselves. While others live in the light of day, we must fight them in the shadows and keep them out of the public eye so that others can live in a sane, normal world. The sun and the moon change, and the stars flow. Humans walked out of caves and civilization developed at an unimaginable speed. However, throughout this long history, there has always been a group of mysterious people. They fight the anomalies in the dark and keep them out of human sight. At this moment, the ethereal voice suddenly became high-pitched and firm. We are in control. We contain it. We protect. The opening content ends here. The entire Marvel world seemed to have been paused and fell into an eerie silence. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury's originally relaxed expression suddenly became serious again. Abnormal. As the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., he is well aware that there are many threats in the universe that humans are unknown to. On Blue Star alone, there are many extraordinary beings such as extraordinary beings, mutants, magic, etc. S.H.I.E.L.D. is a special force of the International Security Council that is used to deal with various bizarre events. But even with S.H.I.E.L.D., which has a large number of top scientists, top agents, and even superheroes, there is no way to hide these extraordinary beings in the dark. This SCP Foundation. How can this be done? On the other side, there was also a quarrel in the extraordinary chat group. Deadpool, damn, what is anomaly? Extraordinary elements? Steve, according to this statement, we superheroes should also fall into the category of abnormalities. Tony, damn it, I don't want to be controlled, contained, and protected by these lunatics. I'm a superhero, not some damn anomaly. Thor, in other words, this SCP Foundation is able to control all anomalies and conceal them? To be honest, I think it is unlikely. Nick Fury, no organization can do this. In the live broadcast room, some people sneered at and some showed disdain for the appalling remarks and images that appeared in the opening, but there were also many people who found it unbelievable. But there is no doubt that as this footage was broadcast, an inexplicable curiosity gradually emerged in the entire Marvel world. Without giving everyone much time to react, the scene appeared again. In the picture, in a completely enclosed room filled with pale incandescent lights, everyone finally saw the person who was exposed this time, Lin Lang. Chapter 4. He was tall and handsome, and looked to be about 25 or 26 years old. It is not an exaggeration to say that her eyebrows are as bright as stars and her ears are as beautiful as jade. However, at the moment, he was wearing an orange overalls, standing among a group of people wearing the same outfit. At first glance, it looked like the courier company was holding a rally for its employees. However, unlike Lin Lang's clear and firm eyes, the other people around him all had dull expressions and distracted eyes, staring blankly at the video that was repeated over and over again on the podium. Faintly, I can still hear that familiar emphasis. We control, countless people saw this scene and immediately started talking about it. Extraordinary chat group Tony, damn, this is not brainwashing, right? Steve, protecting humans from abnormal threats? To be honest, I initially thought that the SCP Foundation was a decent organization like S.H.I.E.L.D. Loki, for these ordinary people who have no knowledge and only care about their own interests, brainwashing may be the simplest and most convenient method. Unfortunately, the brainwashing method of this SCP Foundation is too low level. Wong, there is an old saying in the Dragon Kingdom, the people can be made to follow a principle, but they cannot be made to understand it. As they were discussing, a man in a white coat and glasses walked into the scene. He calmly came to the podium, surrounded by several agents wearing strange combat uniforms and equipped with real guns and nuclear bombs. Ignoring the commotion of the crowd, the man in the white coat finally spoke. This is a world of anomalies. Anomalies are objects in life that do not follow the natural laws we are familiar with. A corridor that you can never exit, a mechanical god from ancient times, and humans who reshape reality with their will. When the humans in the Marvel world saw that ugly guy saying such horrifying words, their scalps suddenly went numb. There was only one thought in everyone's mind. Is this true or false? All the extraordinary people just frowned. I thought it was just some little tricks with some strange personalities, but you ended up bringing out the evil gods? Are you kidding me? However, due to the somewhat low-level and inhumane brainwashing methods previously demonstrated by the SCP Foundation, most people are still skeptical about this statement. In the picture, the eyes under the thick lenses of the white coat looked at everyone as if they were looking at a group of dead men. As D-class personnel, your first priority is to obey orders, and the second is to ensure your safety. You must always be clear about your identity. D stands for dispensable, which means expendable. Experiments are a daily routine for you. You are the guinea pigs here. Please obey all orders, otherwise we will send you back to the prison where you are serving your death sentence or life imprisonment. Seeing this, the audience in the live broadcast room was in an uproar. Only then did everyone realize that these people in orange overalls were actually serious or death row prisoners in prison. And those audiences who were originally shouting for human rights also temporarily stopped shouting. Death row prisoners definitely have no human rights. As for the identity of Lin Lang, the person who was exposed, everyone naturally came to a conclusion. An unforgivable death row prisoner. Death is not a pity. Future technology building. Spider-Man, hanging from the ceiling like a spider, touched his head, turned to look at Lin Lang and asked curiously, "So, you were a death row inmate in your previous life? What crime did you commit?" Lin Lang glanced at him and said calmly, "Won't you know if you keep reading?" In the picture, the voice of the man in the white coat mixed with the brainwashing propaganda slogan of the SCP Foundation behind him ended at the same time. And those wanted criminals who had countless eyes woke up one by one, as if their memories were forcibly inserted. Judging from their fanatical expressions visible to the naked eye, it is obvious that the brainwashing from the SCP Foundation has been successful. Seeing those originally ferocious expressions suddenly become devout and fanatical, the audience in the live broadcast room all felt a chill on their backs. This foundation seems to have something of its own? Very low-level brainwashing method. But it's also very practical. Some careful people also noticed that Lin Lang, the person who was exposed, did not seem to have much change in expression from the beginning. Isn't he brainwashed? Just as the D-class personnel in the picture were about to leave, the man in the white coat suddenly called out a string of numbers. D14134 stay, you have a mission. Hearing this, Lin Lang, who was about to leave in the picture, paused. On his badge, a number was clearly written, D14134 in the picture. Lin Lang, numbered D14134, was brought to the white coat by an agent armed with real guns. The man in the white coat still had a dead look on his face. You are about to carry out your first mission, clean up the secretions of SCP-173. When the audience in the live broadcast room saw this scene, they were stunned for a moment. What the hell? Cleaning up the garbage? So this is what the SCP Foundation calls a very dangerous task? Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha, I'm almost dying of laughter. So, isn't this the case? I'm on missions every day, right? As we all know, the secretions of this thing are extremely dangerous and toxic. If the cleaner is not careful, he will experience nausea and stomach upset. PSST, I can't make it up anymore, ha 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 secretion? Is this shit? In an instant, the live broadcast room was filled with a happy atmosphere. The Ancient One of Kamar-Taj looked a little hesitant. She suddenly remembered the previous warning from the system. This time the mission. Is it really that simple? Finally, changes occurred in the picture. A file that looked like a document appeared on the screen. Project name, statue item number, SCP-173 Object Class, Euclid Special Containment Procedures. Item SCP-173 is to be kept in a locked containment chamber at all times. When it is necessary to enter SCP-173's containment chamber, no fewer than 3 personnel may enter at any time and the door must be relocked. At least 2 personnel must maintain eye contact with SCP-173 at all times until all personnel have left the containment chamber and relocked it. Chapter 5. As the content of the document appeared, the KO fan chat group was also filled with a happy atmosphere. Black Widow, honestly, I thought such a serious task should be more serious. What is this? 1, 2, 3, Wooden Man? Hulk, strictly speaking, it is somewhat different from 123 Pokemon, maybe it's some other game or something. Tony, I feel, not as good as Steve's farming. Steve, shut up. S.H.I.E.L.D. Looking at the distorted style in the live broadcast room and chat group, Nick Fury held his forehead helplessly. What is this? At the moment, the document in the picture was turned to the second page. Description, moved to Site 19 in 1993, origin is still unknown. It is constructed of concrete and rebar, with traces of Krillin brand spray paint. SCP-173 is mobile and highly hostile. The object cannot move within direct line of sight. Line of sight with SCP-173 must not be broken at any time. Personnel assigned to containment are to remind each other before blinking. The object's method of attack has been reported to be snapping the neck at the base of the skull, or strangulation. In the event of an attack, personnel are to observe Level 4 hazardous object containment procedures. Personnel reports that scraping stone noises can be heard from within the containment cell when no one is present. This is considered normal, and any changes in this behavior should be reported to the acting HMCL supervisor on duty. The reddish-brown substance on the floor is a mixture of feces and blood. The source of this material is unknown. The interior environment must be cleaned every 2 weeks. As the new content appeared, the audience who had just been laughing and joking were stunned almost at the same time. The laughter became much quieter, and was replaced by more and more voices of doubt. What the hell? This is ridiculous. A statue that can teleport. What's even more outrageous is that this thing's method of attack is to break the neck. It can teleport, but its method of attack is so simple. Yes, it feels like serious nonsense to me. S.H.I.E.L.D. Looking at the newly appeared document, Nick Fury's expression became subtle. In the Marvel world, there are people and things that have the means to teleport. For example, the magicians of Kamar-Taj. Another example is the space gem that can instantly move all objects to any space at will. But whether it is the magician of Kamar-Taj or the only space gem in the universe, they are all rare. As a result, the SCP Foundation randomly pulled out a document and found that it was a statue that possessed this kind of capability. No, in their words, it is abnormal. In addition, the information revealed in this document is enough to make him alert. SCP-173, that's the number? Does that mean this statue is the 173rd anomaly to be contained? Also, what does Object Class Euclid mean? Does it mean there are other levels of projects? The most important thing is, since the statue has such a strange ability, how did the Foundation contain it? All kinds of doubts filled Nick Fury's mind. As the document content came to an end and Lin Lang's face appeared on the screen, Nick Fury retracted his scattered thoughts and focused on the screen again. The scene changed, and 3 fully armed agents, leading 3 researchers in white coats and 3 D-class personnel in orange jumpsuits, walked through a long corridor and came to the door of a fully enclosed room made of reinforced concrete. Seeing this, everyone instantly realized that this room was most likely the containment room where SCP-173 was imprisoned. Even those audience members who kept questioning subconsciously quieted down at the moment. Everyone seemed to know what this statue that was described so strangely was. In the picture. I'll repeat it one last time. The researcher in a white coat looked at the 3 D-class personnel in front of him nonchalantly and said impatiently, "Your task is very simple. Enter the containment room, use tools to collect the secretions on the floor, and then come out." After saying that, he signaled the agent to open the door of the containment room. Bang! With a sigh of relief, the door of the containment room opened, and the agents raised their guns and pointed them coldly at the three people. Tisk, there's not a single difficult task in this guy's mouth. A bearded D-class personnel numbered D-1245 muttered as he walked. As he spoke, he noticed that the thin, yellow-haired D-1526 beside him kept rubbing the tip of his nose and frowned. I say, is it really that serious? At least this guy is not joking this time. SCP-173's mission is indeed one with a higher safety factor. D-1526 sneezed violently, rubbed his red nose, and cursed, damn it, someone must have cat hair on them. I'm allergic to this damn stuff. Hearing this, the bearded man curled his lips and said nothing more, but followed the leading technician into the safe zone. The safe house is the real holding room. The technician led the four people to a tightly closed alloy door and pointed at the closed observation hole on the door and said, Step 1, D-1526, yellow hair, opens his eyes and the observation port. While keeping SCP-173 in sight, D-1245, beard, and D-14134, Lin Lang, enter the containment room and begin collecting. Seeing everyone nod, the technician reminded again, remember, at least 2 people must be watching SCP-173 at all times. Before you blink, you must inform your companions. Do you understand? Understood, X3. Compared to the weak responses of the other 2, Lin Lang's voice sounded extremely calm. Future technology building. Tisk tisk, Lin, I didn't expect you to be so calm. Little Spider-Man patted Lin Lang's shoulder and teased, then asked, by the way, is this statue really as powerful as described? Seeing Lin Lang looking at him like an idiot, little Spider-Man waved his hand awkwardly, what I mean is, forget it, let's just look at the screen. In the picture, as the technician slowly opened the observation port, SCP-173, which made everyone curious, finally appeared in everyone's field of vision. Chapter 6. A humanoid statue, seemingly made of yellowed plaster, stood in a silver metal room. At first glance, the statue looks like a peanut with limbs grown. It has a huge head and a body that is out of proportion. The most eye-catching thing is its hideous face, which is wrinkled and rusty. The statue in the picture is standing sideways in the corner of the metal room, with its hands on the wall, giving people an eerie and dramatic feeling as if it is shy. The ground was covered with rusty red secretions. Seeing this, even the extraordinary people who were used to seeing many storms frowned, and the live broadcast room was in an uproar. What the hell? What the hell is this? Hey, it's ugly and weird. It's over. I feel like I'm going to have a nightmare tonight. No, I'm curious, can something like this really teleport? Yeah, let's not talk about the material of reinforced concrete. The key is how can a person with short arms and legs break his neck? S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury frowned as he looked at the funny and somewhat weird statue in the picture. He thinks like most people. Is this thing really an anomaly? In the picture. Without giving everyone time to get nervous, the yellow-haired D-1526 who was in charge of looking at the statue for the first time started shouting in just 3 seconds, damn it, what are you waiting for, get in quickly, my eyes are so dry. Bearded D-1245 was still in a daze, but Lin Lang had already opened his eyes and entered the containment room first, while calmly replying, the gaze action has been completed. The estimated duration is 15 seconds. The countdown begins. 15, 14. If people deliberately don't blink, they can usually hold out for 10 to 30 seconds, and some people can even hold out for more than a minute, but for safety reasons, Lin Lang chose 15 seconds. In the screen, both Lin Lang's determined eyes and calm reaction left a deep impression on all the audience. Especially when contrasted with the other 2 D-class personnel who were in a panic. Perhaps infected by the tense atmosphere, the voices of ridicule and questioning in the live broadcast room became much quieter, and some people even subconsciously held their breath. In the screen, Lin Lang counted to 11, and the bearded D-1245 finally reacted and stared at the statue and began to count down. The yellow-haired man outside the door came in hurriedly with tools and started collecting the secretions. 5, 4. D-1526, count. 3, Lin Lang counted and spoke at an extremely fast speed. 10, 14. A drop of cold sweat slid down the yellow-haired cheek, but fortunately he managed to adjust himself. Seeing this scene, those who were staring at the screen swallowed their saliva at the same time and dared not breathe. Even if there were no words like playing tricks or is it that serious, flashing in the live broadcast room, they were quickly ignored. Oh shit! So exciting! 1, D14134 Stop counting and start collecting. Lin Lang reminded urgently. At the moment, his eyes were wide open, but he didn't dare to look anywhere else. It was obvious that he was also under great psychological pressure. Only after confirming that the countdown had started for the other two people did Lin Lang breathe a sigh of relief, and then he began the collection work without stopping. At the moment, the bearded man had counted to 8, while the yellow-haired man had counted to 11. Lin Lang, with his head bent and concentrating on collecting, quickly shoveled the secretions on the ground into the box. Perhaps Lin Lang's calmness infected the other two. In the next 3 minutes, the three of them took turns to perform the action without any accidents. Seeing this, the audience in the live broadcast room finally breathed a sigh of relief. In the extraordinary chat group, everyone also started discussing it. Black Widow, damn it, it's not even certain whether this statue is as scary as described in the document, but it still makes me breathless just looking at it. Tony, wake up, it's outrageous enough that a plaster statue can teleport and kill people. Only an idiot would believe this. Steve, apart from anything else, the psychological quality and organizational ability displayed by Lin Lang are really eye-catching. As an ordinary person, he has done an excellent job. Nick Fury, the job replacement model can be further optimized. Perhaps because they were gradually becoming familiar with the rhythm, the bearded man and the yellow-haired man were in much better spirits. The bearded man in particular even had the energy to joke while looking at the statue, "Hey yellow hair, what do you think that red thing on this guy's butt is?" 8. The yellow-haired boy rubbed his red nose and said with a strange smile, "It can't be my period, right?" 13. Lin Lang was concentrating on his collection work. Hearing this, the bearded man laughed obscenely and said, "What if another statue took the back door?" 6. As he said that, he even asked Lin Lang seriously, "Hey, brother, we did a great job this time, right?" 5. Lin Lang had his back to him, his head tilted to collect, ignoring his meaning. The bearded man felt embarrassed and sneered, "Tisk, what are you pretending to be?" Unexpectedly, just as he finished speaking, a drop of cold sweat slid along the wrinkles and into the corner of his eye while he was laughing strangely. He subconsciously closed his eyes first, and just when he thought of reminding her, he suddenly heard a long inhalation. "Ah-chu! Huang Mao, also known as D1526, without greeting anyone. I sneezed." At this moment, an experiment conducted by a program called Mythbusters suddenly emerged in the minds of the audience. They tested whether people could keep their eyes open while sneezing. The answer is no. Therefore, when the audience in the Marvel world saw that the bearded man and the yellow-haired man did not close their eyes at the same time before the prompt, everyone was stunned. Immediately afterwards, everyone heard two morbid, heavy, and horrible tearing sounds, and two extremely short screams. Time seems to stand still at this moment. No one could see clearly how the statue, which looked like yellowed plaster, moved, nor how it twisted the beard and yellow-haired neck with its chubby hands. There was only one thought in their minds. This damn statue can really break someone's neck in an instant. Chapter 7. Boom. Boom boom. This is the sound of the heart pumping hard. Lin Lang on the screen had his eyes wide open, staring at the statue that had appeared behind him at some point. Even through the screen, everyone could hear Lin Lang's heartbeat that sounded like a drum. A drop of liquid passed across Lin Lang's forehead, and he didn't dare to wipe it off. But the audience could see clearly that it was not sweat, but a drop of blood, spurting out from the bearded man's mouth. At the moment, the bearded man and the yellow-haired man lost their previous frivolity, and the two men fell to the ground, like two side-by-side numbers 7. Tick-tock. Tick-tock. Blood flowed from the corners of the corpse's mouth to the floor. The shocking bright red color blended with the substance on the ground and became somewhat sticky. Dong 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 dong. Lin Lang's heartbeat became stronger and stronger, but the entire Marvel audience seemed to have been paused. Then, Lin Lang stood up tremblingly. Boom. The entire Marvel world and countless audiences were excited. OMG. Oh my god, what just happened? FK. 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 Crazy, all crazy. Damn, this statue actually has the ability to instantly break someone's neck. Oh my god, the most important thing is that Lin Lang actually reacted at that moment. Otherwise, his neck would have been broken, right? What should I do? Lin Lang is alone now, and the door is blocked. Isn't he doomed? Stark Industries building. Damn it, it's actually true. Stark exclaimed, a statue that can break someone's neck in an instant. Damn, this is crazy. He himself didn't realize that his voice seemed to be a little broken. S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury stared at the screen intently, his already dark face, at the moment even darker than the bottom of a pot. He used S.H.I.E.L.D's technology to slow down the scene millions of times, but still couldn't figure out how the statue moved. Teleport? Thinking of that headache-inducing word, Nick Fury took a deep breath and said, raise the threat level of the SCP Foundation. Assistant Maria subconsciously asked, what about Lin Lang? Stay the same. Although the qualities that Lin Lang showed in just a few minutes impressed him, they were still not beyond the scope of ordinary people. As for SCP-173, Nick Fury is already thinking, if this thing appeared on Blue Planet, how much would S.H.I.E.L.D. have to pay to contain it? In the live broadcast room. After venting their shock and fear, all the audience turned their attention back to the screen. This time, no more carelessness than before. Instead, there was shock, astonishment, and undisguised curiosity. In the picture. After the initial moment of careful consideration, Lin Lang was nervous but not to the point of panic. SCP-173's properties can indeed kill him instantly, but as long as he keeps staring, SCP-173 cannot move. And there is still a chance to survive. This moment. All the audience members opened their eyes wide and stared at the screen at the same time. They have been completely attracted by the pictures on the screen. This moment. The same question popped up in everyone's mind. Lin Lang, can you survive? In the picture, nearly 15 seconds had passed since the sudden incident. At the same time, this also means that Lin Lang hasn't closed his eyes for 15 seconds. In the past, it was circulated on the internet that the longest a human could keep their eyes open was 12 hours. But it is obvious that Lin Lang is not a human being with extraordinary abilities. After opening his eyes for more than 15 seconds, he already felt obviously uncomfortable. At 20 seconds, bloodshot began to appear in the eyeballs. No. This can't go on any longer. We must leave the containment room. However, the statue blocked the way, and the bodies of the bearded man and the yellow-haired man also blocked the door. How can I get through? Finally, at the 25th second, Lin Lang started to move. He kept staring at the statue, his body slightly bent, and moved step by step like a crab. Seeing this scene, the audience in the live broadcast room all gasped. There was endless discussion in the extraordinary chat group. Steve, even though he is just an ordinary person, he is braver and calmer than me. Tony, I admit that he is outstanding, but unfortunately, this is his experience in his previous life. In other words, he has died once. Ancient One, the real strength comes from the strength of the mind. Before the dust settles, everything is possible. Deadpool, that's right, someone once said that only an idiot would believe that statues can teleport. Group reminder, group member Tony has gone offline no matter what was said before, at this moment, looking at the figure in the picture who is facing death but still does not give up. A feeling of admiration arises spontaneously. In the picture. Time passes by second. Unable to divert his gaze, Lin Lang could only rely on his memory and instinct to try to move towards the door. If you are not familiar with the room structure and cannot get sight, walking too fast, it is easy to go to the wrong location. If you accidentally find the corpse, the consequences will be disastrous. But walking too slowly. 2 minutes later, Lin Lang at the moment's eyes were completely filled with scarlet bloodshot. But even so, he still kept moving at almost the same speed and pace. Just like that, under everyone's gaze, Lin Lang gradually closed the distance to the door. 5 meters. 4 meters. 3 meters. When Lin Lang stepped on the corpse, countless people felt worried for him. But fortunately, he stabilized his body in time and stayed calm. Off-screen. S.H.I.E.L.D. Maria stood beside Nick Fury holding the notebook and sighed, he can't hold on any longer. The veins in his eyes have ruptured. He may be able to force himself not to close his eyes, but once the blood blurs his vision, what awaits him? Nick Fury heard this and did not say anything, but quietly clenched his fists. Sure enough, in the picture, blood had begun to flow from the corner of his left eye, and his eyelids were trembling constantly. At this moment, almost everyone realizes that Lin Lang couldn't hold on any longer. Seeing the blood climbing up to his eyeballs bit by bit, everyone seemed to be able to see the shadow of death eroding Lin Lang bit by bit. The moment when the blood blurred my left eye. Countless people subconsciously closed their eyes to avoid seeing the heart-wrenching scene. However, 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. D14134. Mission accomplished. Chapter 8. What's going on? The audience who covered their eyes looked at the screen in amazement. Then I found out, at the moment, Lin Lang was not only alive, but had already appeared outside the door. The live broadcast room of at the moment has been ignited by the shock and cheers of the audience. The entire Marvel world was boiling. Awesome. Oh shit. This guy is a genius. No, he's just a madman. A gambler who doesn't care about his life. It's just that he won the bet. Ha 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 ha. Oh my god, this guy. At this time, the confused audience finally figured it out through the barrage. It turned out that when his left eye was covered with blood, Lin Lang relied on his instinct to only one eye closed. Then, at the last moment, he stared at the statue and took a step back. Successfully escaped. Camartage. The apprentices stared at the screen above the sky in amazement. The Ancient One stood with his hands behind his back, his eyes flickering. S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury pinched his brows and let out a long sigh. Stark Industries building. Tony was breathing heavily, cold sweat soaking his back, and he looked like he had been fished out of the water. The last scene of the screen. Lin Lang knelt weakly on the ground, blood flowing from the corners of his tightly closed eyes. The first words he uttered were, "It has been successfully confirmed that monocular gaze also works on SCP-173. After hearing his weak voice say this, the originally noisy live broadcast room fell silent instantly. Extraordinary chat group. Steve, to be honest, I'm beginning to admire this guy. Black Widow, I'm very curious, what belief supports him? Aren't D-class personnel, all extremely vicious criminals? Nick Fury, to be precise, even death row inmates are not necessarily extremely vicious. But this guy is so tenacious that it's scary. Deadpool, are you serious? You're just forcing yourself not to close your eyes? I dug out my eyeballs and used them as ping-pong balls, and he wouldn't even blush. But I have to say, this guy is really ruthless. Hulk, I think what's more important right now is, there's already this bizarre and strange anomaly that can snap a neck in an instant, so what about the other anomalies? Seeing this, S.H.I.E.L.D's Nick Fury's pupils wrinkled. Yes. Everyone's previous doubts and ridicule were based on the fact that anomalies do not exist, or that anomalies are not as exaggerated as the Foundation describes. But now, just a statue has proven to be extremely powerful and weird. So, who can guarantee that there are no other more incredible existences? Nick Fury suddenly remembered what the man in the white coat said before. Anomalies are objects in life that do not follow the natural laws we are familiar with. A corridor that you can never exit, a mechanical god from ancient times, and humans who reshape reality with their will. Gulp. Nick Fury swallowed subconsciously. Something seems to be wrong. Camartage. A group of magic apprentices stared at the screen in the sky in a daze and remained silent for a long time. A burly man came up to the Ancient One, Sorcerer Supreme, do these strange things really exist in the universe? What the Foundation calls anomalies. Ancient One magician looked back at the game and sighed, that depends on your perception. Perhaps, to ordinary people, the magic we use, those mutants and extraordinary beings, are also abnormal. As he spoke, as if he had thought of something, the Ancient One's voice became a little ethereal, the universe is boundless, and humans cannot even leave the Milky Way. What we know is just the tip of the iceberg. At the same time, future technology building. Lin Lang looked quietly at the screen in the sky, with a hint of nostalgia in his eyes. Turn out to be, has it been so long since my first encounter with anomaly? Just as Lin Lang was sighing. The look in the eyes of little Spider-Man standing by when he looked at Lin Lang had completely changed. Before, he always felt that Lin Lang was filled with a certain emotion. Until now, he seemed to understand. This emotion is called fatigue. The kind of exhaustion that feels like the whole soul is withering. What kind of past did he go through? What would make such a determined man become what he is today? Little Spider-Man did not ask any questions, but looked at the light curtain in the sky again. Answer, maybe it's among them. On the screen. As Lin Lang's first mission ends, the screen gradually turns dark and the scene begins to transition. But while the entire Marvel audience was shocked, they were all secretly looking forward to the next containment that Lin Lang would encounter. Finally, the screen gradually lit up. Before I could see the picture, a voice was heard. Lin Lang, gender male. 24 years old, from Long Country. Height 1.83 meters, weight. In the screen, a middle-aged man in a white coat was holding a file in his hand. He was reading it while looking at Lin Lang in front of him with a playful look. Everyone in the Marvel world was stunned, and then they immediately reacted. This is Lin Lang's identity information before he joined the Foundation in his previous life. Everyone became curious. What did Lin Lang do in his previous life before joining the Foundation? After completing his studies at the United Nations University at the age of 16, he founded Oracle Technology Corporation. And within 4 years, it was turned into a top 500 company in the world. Our business scope covers the whole world. He disappeared for the next 4 years until a week ago, when he contacted our agent and applied to become a D-class personnel. Read this, even the man in the white coat was stunned for a moment. The audience in the Marvel world was completely stunned. It turns out that before joining the Foundation, Lin Lang was not a criminal on death row, but rather the world's top billionaire? Are you crazy? However, facing the inquiring eyes of the researchers in white coats, Lin Lang's reaction was very calm. The white coat paused and grinned. To be honest, a genius like you should join the technical department instead of becoming a D-class personnel with only a 30% survival rate. The other white coats also chirped. If he hadn't figured out your identity, the director would have thought you were a spy sent by the Serpent's Hand or the Chaos Insurgency. Damn it, this guy's deeds will definitely make the headlines of the Foundation's monthly magazine. He's a nice guy, but unfortunately he's a lunatic. The man in the white coat interrupted the others' jokes and looked at Lin Lang and said calmly, I regret to inform you that your second mission has arrived at the same time. On the screen, a new file gradually appeared. Project name, Immortal Lizard. Chapter 9. Immortal Evil Lizard? When everyone in the Marvel world saw the name of the project, they were all stunned. What the hell is the Immortal Evil Lizard? A lizard. Last time it was a statue, this time it's a lizard, interesting. The Immortal Evil Lizard, could it be that its abnormal characteristic is immortality? How is that possible? There are no immortal creatures in the universe. The comments are still arguing. Camartage. Sorcerer Supreme, are there really immortal creatures in the universe? Facing the apprentice's questions, Ancient One was about to nod, but then he seemed to have thought of something, hesitated for a while, and said ambiguously, the universe is so big, nothing is impossible. On the screen, more and more archive contents appeared before everyone's eyes. Item number, SCP-682 Object Class, Keter. Seeing this, S.H.I.E.L.D's Nick Fury's pupils wrinkled. Sure enough, there are other levels. Keter. What does this level mean? 682, does it mean the 682nd containment? Special Containment Procedures, SCP-682 must be destroyed as soon as possible. Currently, the SCP team is unable to destroy SCP-682, and can only inflict massive physical damage to it. SCP-682 is to be contained in a 5mx5mx5m container, with 25 cm thick reinforced acid-resistant steel plates lining all interior walls. The containment container is to be filled with hydrochloric acid until SCP-682 is completely submerged and incapable of resistance. If SCP-682 attempts to move, speak, or breach containment, immediate action must be taken and full force must be used as appropriate. When pieces of information about the Immortal Evil Lizard appeared, the audience who were originally arguing about the Immortal Evil Lizard were all dumbfounded. However, that's not all. Description: SCP-682 is a large reptile of unknown origin. It exhibits extremely high intelligence, and during its limited contact with SCP-079, very complex communication was observed between them. SCP-682 expresses hatred for all life, as confirmed by several interactions with it during containment. SCP-682 has been observed to possess extremely high strength, speed, and quick reaction abilities, though the exact extent varies depending on its form. SCP-682's physical body grows and changes very quickly. Through feeding or shedding, SCP-682 is able to increase or decrease in size. SCP-682 can gain energy from any matter it ingests, whether organic or inorganic. SCP-682's digestion appears to be aided by filtering gills in its nostrils, which can absorb useful substances from any solution, allowing it to continue to regenerate when contained in acid. SCP-682's regenerative and adaptive abilities are amazing, and SCP-682 can still move and communicate even when 87% of its body is destroyed or decayed. As the last entry in the file disappeared, the entire Marvel world fell into an eerie silence. Boom. Then, the world boiled. What the hell? What the hell? Am I crazy or is this world crazy? Endless regeneration ability, being able to move and communicate even when 87% of the body is destroyed or decayed, isn't this immortality? The key is that they only need to eat constantly to grow bigger. Oh God, please don't scare me again. At the moment, not only the audience in the live broadcast room were stunned, but even the extraordinary chat group was in an uproar. Tony, oh hell, immortality, could it be any more outrageous? Steve, the key point is, this anomaly actually possesses a remarkable intelligence. Deadpool, alas I thought I would die alone, but I didn't expect that there are actually immortal creatures in the universe besides me. It's a pity that it's a lizard. Oh, I mean, it's a pity that I'm not Asan. S.H.I.E.L.D. Seeing Deadpool's speech, Nick Fury was thoughtful. There are some mutants with super fast regeneration abilities. For example, Wolverine and Deadpool. Whether it is a broken hand or a broken foot, it can be restored on the spot. But, are they really immortal? Apart from anything else, Nick Fury himself can come up with several ways to make their super abilities ineffective. But this immortal evil lizard? Nick Fury frowned. He had that sticky feeling again. However, he was also very curious. Facing such a terrifying guy, what kind of mission will Lin Lang be assigned? In the picture, the man in the white coat looked at Lin Lang. As you can see, 682 is a lizard, a hard-to-kill lizard that has been abused for a long time. Acid baths, isolation, shooting, electrocution, burns, poisoning, industrial laser cutting, vacuum exposure, exposure to other hostile anomalies, etc. However, these methods are of little use to 682, except to make it hate humans even more. Lin Lang remained calm. And everyone in the Marvel world began to breathe faster. Some people were even sweating profusely. The man in the white coat gave Lin Lang an admiring look. Unfortunately, this immortal fellow who has great hatred for humans has breached the next door station an hour ago. After killing more than 100 people, he left the site. Then, the man in the white coat shrugged. Yes, 682 has breached containment. And your mission is to assist the Foundation in containing 682. As soon as the words fell, the brains of the audience in the Marvel world roared. Countless people were stunned after hearing this. The live broadcast room exploded instantly. No one expected that such a terrifying monster could fail to be contained. What was even more unexpected was that Lin Lang would be assigned to assist in the containment. Are you crazy? This killed hundreds of people in the blink of an eye and broke through the existence of an entire site. And Lin Lang? Although the qualities he had demonstrated before were admirable, no matter what, he was just an ordinary person, right? Isn't this just sending him to his death? However, when countless people were indignant for Lin Lang, a low and firm voice was heard. Clear. Chapter 10. Are you crazy? You're willing to accept a mission like this? Yet, if they kill hundreds of people in one go, wouldn't it be like you, an ordinary person, would just die? Those above, have you forgotten what the D&D class stands for? Expendable. They don't even have a choice. Alas, I wanted to learn more about the anomaly, but ended up stopping here. The live broadcast room was filled with comments. Countless audiences vented their emotions. S.H.I.E.L.D. All S.H.I.E.L.D. agents widened their eyes and looked at each other in bewilderment. On the contrary, Nick Fury's look towards Lin Lang changed a lot. Good. Obeying orders is a soldier's first priority. Unfortunately, his story may end here. Stark Industries. Damn it, doesn't this guy know what fear is? Tony was a little annoyed. A guy like this can be called a genius, but it's a pity that he is just a fool. Tony, who considers himself a genius, already has some sympathy for Lin Lang's past life. Jarvis, bring me my treasured wine. I want to toast this friend I have never met. Having seen the Foundation's rigor, no one doubted the authenticity of the files on 682. Therefore, almost everyone believed that Lin Lang was participating in a mission with no chance of survival. The scene changed. Lin Lang, wearing an orange overalls, is already sitting on a high-tech transport plane. The entire cabin was filled with mostly D-class personnel wearing overalls. Among the others, there were researchers in white coats, fully armed agents, A&D. A group of well-equipped mobile task forces wearing pure black individual combat uniforms. The most eye-catching thing was the thin man among them. The man was in his late 30s, with black hair, grey eyes, olive skin, and nearly 2 meters tall. His body was covered with numerous tattoos depicting obscure images, ranging from subtle to extravagant. He looked like a member of the Foundation. What is puzzling is that the surrounding agents and mobile task forces seem to be wary of him. The scene changes. When they appeared again, Lin Lang and others had been dropped off at the gate of a dilapidated abandoned factory. A man in a white coat came in front of a group of D-class personnel. 682 needs some time to digest after eating. It is now hiding in this abandoned factory. Your mission is to enter the factory and lure it out. After the words were spoken, the audience in the Marvel world thought they were hallucinating and all looked stunned. What did they hear? The Foundation intends to let this group of ordinary people face 682 with bare hands? What a joke! Even if D-class personnel are expendable, it doesn't mean they can treat human lives like that, right? Isn't this just sending them to their deaths? As expected. On the screen, as soon as the man in the white coat finished speaking, the dozen or so D-class personnel at the door panicked instantly. It is true that they have been brainwashed, but that does not mean they have lost the ability to think independently. Oh my god, are you kidding me? FK it, you're sending us to our deaths, a hot-tempered sturdy man immediately started cursing. The others also started to riot. Oink oink. The agents immediately raised their guns. The D-class personnel who were being targeted by dozens of guns suddenly calmed down. The man in the white coat still had a calm expression as he looked at the sturdy man who stepped forward. That's right, I'm sending you to die. You. The sturdy man stared at the white coat. Perform the mission, or die. The agents began to aim, and the atmosphere suddenly became tense. The sturdy man wanted to speak, but a researcher seemed to have discovered something and suddenly shouted, "Damn it, 682 has been alarmed." As soon as the words fell. Roar. A violent roar sounded in the dilapidated factory building. The audience all felt a jolt in their hearts. And on the screen, the expressions of fear on the faces of those D-class personnel were extremely intense. The speed of sound is 340 ms/s. Almost at the same time when everyone heard the sound, a huge amount of black shadow had already smashed through the thick wall. Boom! It was like a train running at full speed, carrying a foul-smelling wind that swept away everyone at the door. Swish! The two people closest to the factory were broken in half before they could even scream. The black shadow's momentum continued unabated, and it plowed a long trench on the ground. Roar! Another deafening roar. This time, people finally saw the guy's full appearance. It is like a combination of a crocodile and a lizard, with a huge body over 6 meters tall and full of explosive muscles. The brown-black skin is full of grooves, and the stratum corneum is like a thick suit of armor. There are several scratches at the connection with the neck, like fish gills. The mouth was filled with densely packed sharp long teeth, with some shocking scarlet flesh and blood still remaining on them. Especially that pair of huge amounts of eyes, filled with madness, violence, hatred, and anger. With just one look, everyone felt as if they were being targeted by the most terrifying predator in the world, and their souls were frozen. When this horrifying existence came into everyone's sight, the audience in the live broadcast room were stunned on the spot. This guy is the immortal evil lizard. Oh my god! Are there really such horrible creatures in the world? How should we contain such a fellow? S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury's furrowed brows formed the shape of the Chinese character. Even though he was used to seeing all kinds of strange mutants and mutant creatures, his hair stood on end the moment he saw 682. In a research institute. A man in a suit and tie was staring at the immortal evil lizard on the screen with fascination. The look on his face was as if he was not looking at a horrifying being that could easily kill hundreds of people, but rather looking at a perfect work of art. Such a creature is simply a miracle from the creator. At the same time, the extraordinary chat group was also in an uproar. Deadpool, damn, you call this a lizard? Ant-Man, It's not very polite to treat your own kind like this. Steve, this guy looks extremely dangerous. He is definitely not someone an ordinary person can deal with. Tony, the best way to deal with mutants is definitely technology. Mutation is still too low level. Ancient One, I sensed a breath similar to law from this anomaly. Believe me, its true horror is definitely not as simple as it appears. Kamartaj. After sending this message in the chat group, the worry on Ancient One's face became even more intense. At this time, 682 in the picture also started a massacre. Chapter 11. Da-da-day. Da-da-day. The agents pulled the trigger immediately. 682's huge body, more than 6 meters tall, was a sitting duck for them. In an instant, dense bullets formed an impenetrable bullet net, madly attacking 682. However, the bullet that can break cement cannot even break the stratum corneum on the surface of 682. 682 actually endured the dense flames and began to slaughter without paying attention to the people around him. For a moment, there were wailing everywhere and blood splattered everywhere. Help! I don't want to die yet, ah! Few 682's claws pierced a D-class personnel's chest. Then it burst out with a terrifying speed that was inconsistent with its huge size and pounced on the next target. It is like a tyrannical death god, leaving no grass wherever it goes. Looking at such a bloody scene, many viewers felt nauseous. But some people also found problems. After fighting for so long, where is Lin Lang? Only careful viewers knew that Lin Lang had already run away the moment 682's roar sounded. Sure enough, the scene changed and the camera came to Lin Lang. He was seen swinging his legs wildly and running in the opposite direction of the agents. Seeing this scene, the audience who were just worried about Lin Lang were a little confused. Moisturized? Isn't this moistening too fast? But why didn't he run to the agent? When the last D-class personnel was swallowed, 682 turned his attention to Lin Lang, who had already run a distance away. Every time he saw the SCP Foundation icon, the anger in 682's eyes soared. Roar! Da-da-day! Da-da-day! Dense bullets constantly bombarded 682's body, and the surface stratum corneum had been covered with pits and wounds after being shot for a long time. Especially after the chest was attacked by special weapons, one could even vaguely see the shocking ribs under the skin, and the spikes on the back completely pierced the skin, exposing it externally. However, the wounds on its body only made its rage grow. XXX, unintelligible roar of anger. Swish! It stomped its legs hard, and the whole body shot towards Lin Lang like a cannonball. Danger! Seeing this scene, the audience felt their scalps tingling. Nick Fury gritted his teeth and said with a moved expression, "This guy wants to use his own life to lure 682 away? This is simply suicide." At this moment, Maria, the assistant who had been watching the screen, was slightly startled, and then shouted in surprise, "No, he's not trying to commit suicide. In that direction, they're those soldiers wearing strange clothes, and that weirdo." In the picture, perhaps to cheer himself up, Lin Lang whispered while running, "The real hunter has been Omega-7 since the beginning." Before he could finish his words, 682's violent roar sounded behind him. The audience's hearts were in their throats. With the speed of 682, he only needs 3 more jumps to crush Lin Lang to death. Next, Lin Lang took a deep breath and counted down in his mind. 3, 2, 1, XXX, unintelligible roar of anger. When 682's voice sounded behind Lin Lang leaped forward like a diver who had practiced for decades. Swish! 682's claws danced in the air, creating a strong wind that easily tore apart the electric pole coming out of the bucket, but Lin Lang just happened to dodge it. Just as it swung its claws again, a calm voice sounded. XXXX, unintelligible sound. Miraculously, 682 stopped when he heard the sound. The picture also shows the figure who is speaking. It was this mysterious man that the agents were wary of on the transport plane before. See this scene. The live broadcast room was instantly in an uproar. What the hell? This is too exciting, isn't it? Yet, Lin Lang was literally dancing on the edge of a knife, but he managed to survive. I have to say, this guy is a complete gambler. Just like last time, he won the bet again. Damn, I almost PD myself just now. So, who is this mysterious man? Stark Industries building. Tony looked at the man in the picture, frowning. Why did 682 stop? Is he communicating with 682? What is the Omega-7 that Lin Lang mentioned? Jarvis, I'm sorry sir, I can't parse this conversation. Now. With the appearance of this mysterious man, 682 unexpectedly calmed down. The man and the sheltered creature began to communicate in a strange language as if no one was around. And those members of the mobile task force, dressed in individual combat uniforms, finally came over holding strangely shaped guns. Lin Lang was helped up by two people, and vaguely, he could hear some members whispering to each other. SCP-076-2 is negotiating with 682. SCP-076-2. When Tony heard this term, he was shocked. When he looked at the mysterious man in the picture again, his eyes couldn't help but become surprised. Could it be that this guy is also a containment object? S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury frowned. Doubts kept coming to his mind. The mysterious man is a containment subject, why would he be working for the Foundation? If he is abnormal, what is his ability? At the moment, in the picture, there seemed to be problems between the man and the beast who were talking. The two talked for more than 3 minutes, during which time SCP-076-2 constantly looked back at the main group. And the anger and tension grew as the conversation progressed. Everyone only heard Lin Lang whisper, "Broken." The next second, something strange happened. SCP-076-2 suddenly materialized a blade-like weapon out of thin air in his right hand, and before anyone could react, he swung it violently. Swish! However, no one expected it. It was just such an ordinary move. The almost indestructible 682 almost had a taste of being cut in half. Wow! The sudden change caused an uproar in the live broadcast room. 682 gods will be killed, Buddhas will be killed. Was he hit so hard like this? In the picture, the severely injured 682 let out an angry roar. "I'll kill you while you're sick." 076-2 wields the weapon again. Clang! 682 swung its claws at the critical moment and successfully knocked down 076-2's weapon. One strike failed. 076-2 adjusted his posture and fought with 682. Again. Chapter 12. The battle proceeded at a speed unimaginable to ordinary people. Clang clang clang. Oink oink. For a moment, the only sounds on the entire battlefield were the whistling wind and the clashing of sharp blades. Seeing this, the extraordinary heroes suddenly felt a strange sense of familiarity. I've watched this episode. What surprised everyone even more was that the immortal 682 had actually fallen into a disadvantage. In just 5 minutes of fighting, both sides suffered and inflicted a large amount of damage. Especially 682. When 076-2 suddenly materialized a strange weapon, 682's entire body was nearly wiped out. Of the 6-meter-long body, only half of the horrible head remained. Seeing this, the audience in the Marvel world was stunned. Damn, is this 076-2 so powerful? He's like a superhero. His ability to materialize weapons out of thin air is so cool. I didn't expect this humanoid containment creature to be more powerful than the immortal giant lizard. 682 only has half of his head left. He should be completely dead, right? Immortality? That doesn't seem that exaggerated, does it? In the screen, it is obvious that 076-2 has really become popular. Unexpectedly, when he once again materialized a weapon and planned to destroy the remaining half of 682's head, something strange happened. All everyone heard was a sonic boom, and a strong electromagnetic storm swept across the entire battlefield. Faintly, everyone seemed to hear 682's angry and violent roar again. That enduring voice that contained murderous intent constantly stimulated the nerves of every audience member. At the moment, there is only one question in the minds of countless people. What happened? In the picture, the members of the mobile task force stood up in a panic. The captain-like member grabbed the team members by the collar. What the hell just happened? Team, Captain. Sensors and monitoring facilities show strong bursts of electromagnetic energy and radiation, as well as drastically changing temperature readings. Before he finished speaking, another team member replied in a surprised voice, "The central monitoring station just sent a notification indicating that a space-time shift phenomenon occurred on SCP-682. After analysis, this phenomenon includes the sudden appearance and disappearance of a black hole, or..." The team member took a deep breath, "or a channel has suddenly formed from this dimension to another dimension in theory." Time and space transfer? Only the channel? When a powerful word came out of the mouth of a mobile task force member, the audience in the entire live broadcast room was stunned. Is it so awesome? S.H.I.E.L.D. A scientific expert explained to Nick Fury, strong bursts of electromagnetic energy and radiation can theoretically cause space-time chaos. But it's almost impossible to use at the moment to transfer through space. As if he had thought of something, he immediately added, at least with our current scientific and technological level, it's impossible. Nick Fury's face turned dark and he looked up at the sky with his hands behind his back. In the picture, the captain wanted to speak again, but a voice rang out from everyone's earphones at the same time. SCP Omega-7 team, can you hear me? The captain quickly replied, yes. Doctor. Report on the status of SCP-682 and SCP-076-2. The captain took a deep breath and said, both 682 and 076-2 are unable to continue due to severe physical damage. Very good, continue the containment mission. Destroy the scene with incendiary bombs, and DCD, Censorship and Disinformation Department, will handle the rest. Damn it, I'm on a mission, Doctor, you. The doctor on the other end of the headset seemed to be rudely interrupted by another doctor before he could finish his words. Dr. Kondraki, stop your stupid experiments and your stupid idea of riding 682. Listening to the two doctors cursing at each other in the headsets, the members of the mobile task force looked at each other in bewilderment. At the last moment of the scene, the angry voice of a doctor in the headset continued. I told you this long ago, this guy doesn't belong in our world. And I think it's the same with SCP-076. It's like if you stick your finger into a balloon, your finger is both inside the balloon and outside of it. They are mapped into our reality, which causes all sorts of problems when the outside world tries to interpret them. It's like when you're programming, you give a command to a pixel that doesn't exist, and the whole system goes haywire. Idiot. After hearing these incomprehensible words, the audience in the live broadcast room were confused. Kamar-Taj. Oh my god, Sorcerer Supreme. What's wrong with you? This is... Eye of Agamotto? Sorcerer Supreme, you used the Eye of Agamotto. Is this the reason you got hurt? What did you see? Ancient One was lying on the ground surrounded by magic apprentices, and the magic elements around him were almost going wild. The reason for all this was because she used Eye of Agamotto. Take a look at 682. It's not that Ancient One is not careful, but because she wants to understand the source of 682's immortal ability. If she could figure out the source of this immortality, she wouldn't have to absorb power from the King of Darkness to maintain her immortality. However, the moment she made the attempt, she regretted it. At this moment, Ancient One's heart was already filled with turbulent waves. Just now, with just a fleeting glance, her soul was nearly devoured by endless evil thoughts, and her thoughts almost came to a standstill. If she hadn't instinctively closed the Eye of Agamotto and cut off the ability to probe her mind, she would have been torn to pieces by that power. The King of Crimson. The Ancient One almost unconsciously recited the only remaining complete name among the endless evil thoughts. Her voice began to tremble. Crimson King. What kind of existence is it? Even if we didn't see his real body, but only saw a trace of his blood and projection on 682's body, he possessed such terrifying power? If it is his true self. Ancient One trembled and closed her eyes. At this moment, she even lost the courage to think. No, I can't think about it anymore. Even the Eye of Agamotto can no longer be used easily. Chapter 13. At the moment, people in the Marvel Universe had no idea what was happening with Kamar-Taj. They were still immersed in the exciting battle that had just taken place, as well as the endless anomalies revealed by the SCP Foundation. Tisk tisk, I didn't expect that 682 would be contained like this. As expected of an immortal containment creature, did you see that? In just a few minutes, that guy has grown back half his body. It's terrifying. When you think about it, Lin Lang is really amazing. He actually managed to survive this guy's hands. Damn, my legs are still shaking when I mention him. He is so brave. Stark Industries building. If we say that most people are interested in it, they are the SCP Foundation and the endless stream of mysterious and bizarre objects. So, Tony was more interested in Lin Lang. An ordinary person, faced several times with anomalies that could easily kill him, but he always managed to remain calm. Even in the face of life and death situations, he could always find the best solution in a split second. The most important thing is the decisiveness to disregard life and death. Even someone as proud as Tony himself couldn't guarantee that he could survive under such circumstances. Looking at the figure on the screen, Tony raised the corner of his mouth. Interesting, really interesting. At this point, the transition ends. Lin Lang appeared on the screen again. At the moment, he seemed to have returned to the site, carrying a tray to get food. However, wherever Lin Lang goes with a plate of food, he attracts people's attention. Especially those D-level personnel, the looks they gave him were extremely complicated. Shocked or curious? No, it was more of disgust, ridicule, and jealousy. Some D-class personnel even made insulting gestures while mocking. Look, who is this? The lunatic who volunteered to become a D-class personnel. Hey? Isn't this the most popular person in our site? How does it feel to be a dog for the Foundation? You freak who watched your own kind die, you deserve to go to hell. You, oh, damn, here come the guard dogs. With some shoving and cursing, the guards dispersed the D-class personnel who were watching. Seeing this, the audience in the live broadcast room was a little confused. As fellow D-class personnel, why are these people so hostile to Lin Lang? In the picture, Lin Lang saw a familiar-looking researcher in the crowd, who walked towards him with a smile. Faintly, the audience seemed to see a few blue butterflies flash past him. The other person sat opposite Lin Lang very familiarly, took out a cigarette from his pocket and handed it to Lin Lang. When he saw that Lin Lang refused, he smiled indifferently and took out a lighter to light it for himself. His few in the smoke, his face was a little blurry and difficult to see clearly. My name is Kondriki, you can call me Dr. K. Dr. K crossed his legs and said casually, I noticed your performance when I contained 682 last time. To be honest, you surprised me a little. Lin Lang chewed his food calmly without responding to the other person's words. For him, joining the SCP Foundation was just to complete the role-playing mission. He would die sooner or later anyway, so he had no interest in wasting time making a short-lived friend. Lin Lang once heard a saying that if you treat doing something as a job, you will never love doing it. Currently, he has taken on the role of a D-class personnel as his job. Therefore, he had no good feelings towards these doctors who were so high and mighty that they could kill them at will. Dr. K didn't care at all and still kept smiling, you are smart enough. There are many D-class personnel who can survive containment or interaction missions, but you are the only one who has the courage to fight 682. You're not afraid of death, are you? When the other party said this unintentionally, Lin Lang's hand holding the fork paused slightly. He finally raised his head and looked at the researcher who was wearing glasses, had a stubble on his face and looked a little rough. Any mission? Dr. K was stunned by Lin Lang's words, and then suddenly laughed, ha ha ha, you are really interesting. Yes, there is another mission, but the number of D-class personnel I can mobilize has exceeded the quota, and now the ethics committee is holding me tightly. So. Lin Lang looked at Dr. K calmly, so, you need a D-class personnel who actively applies to participate in the project. Bingo. You guessed it right again. Dr. K clapped his hands, then put his face in front of Lin Lang and said with a smile, so, your choice is, definitely, you have the right. I accept. You have the right to refuse. Wait, you said you accept. This time, even Dr. K was stunned. Lin Lang nodded, picked up the plate and stood up, yes, I accept. Seeing that Lin Lang was about to leave, Dr. K stood up quickly, scratched his head, hesitated for a long time, and asked this question, you could have refused, why did you agree to it? Something has to be done by someone, right? See this scene, hear these words. Everyone in the live broadcast room couldn't help but pause. Even S.H.I.E.L.D's Nick Fury was slightly moved. Through the first two missions, everyone only saw Lin Lang's calmness and decisiveness. But at this moment, they witnessed Lin Lang's selfless side. Maria held the documents in her arms and was silent for a long time before she said in a complicated tone, I always thought he was a person with self-destructive tendencies. Nick Fury corrected, he is a brave man. At this moment, Nick Fury was more curious about what kind of mission Dr. K, who had the quirk of wanting to ride 682, was going to invite Lin Lang to participate in. What kind of exceptions will we encounter? Future technology building. Like an ant on a hot pan, the little Spider-Man paced back and forth, looking at Lin Lang several times, wanting to say something but stopping himself. Finally, I couldn't help but ask, Lin, what kind of mission did you participate in? Now that the exposure has begun, your memory should have recovered, right? Tell me quickly, please. Mission. Lin Lang looked at the screen in the sky, and the memories of his past life flooded into his mind again. After a long silence, he shook his head and smiled, that is a really difficult task. Let me think, the name of that project seems to be The Gate of Death. Chapter 14. What surprised the live broadcast room was that Lin Lang seemed to be idle all of a sudden in the following period of time. There will be no more white coats issuing missions, and no need to come into contact with those horrific containment objects. The only thing that was a little strange was that the way the other D-class personnel in the base looked at him changed again. Wherever Lin Lang went, the D-class personnel around him tried to avoid him as much as possible. The way he looked at him was like looking at a dead man. I heard that this guy actually took the initiative to join the mission of that madman Dr. K. Too many D-class personnel died in the last containment mission, so that guy's share is not enough. Damn, what a lunatic. Seeing this, the audience in the live broadcast room understood. It was after Lin Lang agreed to join Dr. Kondriki's mission that others began to have a different attitude towards Lin Lang. This made everyone curious. What exactly is Dr. Kondriki's mission? Can it make people so fearful? At the moment, the screen went dark. After a while, the familiar gruff voice of Dr. Kondriki was heard, along with the roar of the engine. In the picture, he is wearing a cocky windbreaker, a baseball cap and a cigarette in his mouth. It didn't look like a life-threatening rescue mission, but more like a weekend getaway. In front of him were 8 D-class personnel wearing orange jumpsuits, and Lin Lang was among them. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this containment mission. Dr. Kondriki said, biting his cigarette and grinning, whether you are a warrior who joined voluntarily or an unlucky person who was passively chosen, I want to tell you that you are going to die. Dr. Kondriki's pointed remarks caused a commotion in the crowd. One middle-aged woman in particular began to sob immediately. The others also looked livid. Only Lin Lang, no, and the young man who looked like he had just reached adulthood standing next to Lin Lang could barely remain calm. He was only about 1.7 meters tall, with a pale face and ordinary features. He was obviously terrified, but he was still holding on. Lin Lang in the picture looked at him in surprise. The other party blinked at him and whispered, "Brother, I heard that you also took the initiative to join this mission." Lin Lang nodded and said nothing more. However, at the moment the audience in the live broadcast room were all stunned. Also? So, besides Lin Lang, this boy also joined on his own initiative? At the moment in the crowd, a bearded white man asked in a somewhat frustrated manner, "Why do we have to die? Why do you crazy people always feel at ease letting us die? Dr. Kondriki, in the last containment experiment alone, more than 100 people died because of you. Compared to the blood debt on our hands, you are obviously the executioner who killed countless people." The questioning was so loud and clear that it even briefly drowned out the roar of the engine. The audience in the live broadcast room were slightly stunned by what they heard. After thinking about it for a while, everyone found that it was really the case. Even the superheroes in the super chat group started talking about it. Tony, to be honest, this reminds me of those innocent people who died because of me in the extraordinary accidents. Steve, some deaths are unavoidable, and I feel sorry for those who died in unforeseen circumstances, but, at least we saved more people, didn't we? Little Spider-Man, but even if those D-class personnel have no human rights, the other agents and those researchers shouldn't have died in vain, right? S.H.I.E.L.D. Looking at the people arguing endlessly in the KO fan chat group, Nick Fury was thoughtful. He remembered that Dr. Kondriki seemed to have mentioned a department before, the Ethics Committee. Could it be that this department is specifically responsible for ethical and moral issues within the Foundation? At the same time, he was also very curious about how Dr. Kondriki would respond to such a sharp question. However, Dr. Kondriki only had a short answer to this: "Yes, I am an executioner." Everyone who was stared at by his eyes that were colder than ice couldn't help but lower their heads. Faintly, everyone seemed to hear the subtle sound of butterfly flapping wings. At this point, Dr. Kondriki stopped lecturing the D-class personnel and walked towards the mobile task force and agents on the other side. After a while, his recognizable hearty laughter reappeared. "My chosen warriors, there is no doubt that you all have strong religious beliefs. Remember, when you see those damned things later, use your silver bullets to blast them to pieces without mercy. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. This Dr. Kondriki, is really simple and crude. After all, they are protecting humans, aren't they? Ignoring the agent's comments, Nick Fury stroked his chin and fell into deep thought. Religious beliefs, silver bullets. Could it be that the anomaly this time is a vampire or a werewolf? Maria, the assistant at the side, curled her lips and said, "Director, this kind of setting only exists in fantasy comics. There is no scientific basis at all, it is completely made up by those authors." Nick Fury glanced at her, then shook his head. "Don't you realize by now that there is no such thing as impossible in this world? I also think it's outrageous, but which of the containment methods that have appeared so far is scientific?" Perhaps to confirm his guess, the file of this containment finally appeared on the screen. Project name, Deathgate Object Class, Keter, presumed neutralized. Nick Fury's pupils shrank. Neutralized? Another new level. And this containment object is also Keter level. He couldn't help but think of the last time 682 appeared. 682, which is immortal and can evolve infinitely, is also Keter level. So how terrifying would the Death Gate, which is also at the Keter level, be? Special containment procedures. Outpost 54 has been established on the land surrounding SCP-1983 and disguised as a chemical factory. The factory building will serve as barracks for Mobile Task Force Chi-13 choirboys. All entrances into Outpost 54 are to be guarded at all times. Personnel are to refer to Document 1983-12 for official instructions on how to deal with any overly curious civilians. Chapter 15. Seeing this, the audience in the live broadcast room were a little surprised. Build a factory around 1983? Could it be that this 1983 is something that doesn't move? Could it be that the Gate of Death, is it really just a door? According to Chi-13 protocol, all Mobile Task Force personnel must have strong religious beliefs. All ammunition boxes must contain silver or silver-plated bullets. The front door of SCP-1983-1 is to be monitored 24 hours a day. Guards are to engage any instances of SCP-1983-2 that appear. No personnel are to come within 5 meters of SCP-1983-2 beyond the limits of scheduled testing protocols. Nick Fury saw the content appear again, which seemed to confirm his previous guess. As for what we need to deal with, it is most likely the so-called SCP-1983-2. Nick Fury couldn't help but wonder in his mind, what could it be? Vampire? Werewolf? Or, a devil? Description: SCP-1983-1 is a single-story farmhouse located in Data Expunged. It has been abandoned since 1968 following a series of religious murders linked to a satanic cult. Please see SCP-XXX Data Expunged capture log for further details. Cult? After seeing this word, the audience in the live broadcast room were all dizzy. Isn't it abnormal? How did it get involved with a cult again? Upon opening the front door of SCP-1983-1, spatial anomalies appear to occur. No matter or light other than instances of SCP-1983-2 has been observed to escape from the doorway. SCP-1983-1 can be entered through other entrances, including windows, back doors, and any entrances opened from the rear of SCP-1983-1. Attempts to drill holes into SCP-1983-1's antechamber from the outside have resulted in the same spatial anomaly, though no instances of SCP-1983-2 have been observed to emerge. Further damage to the walls is prohibited by O5 order due to the potential increase in the number of potential SCP-1983-2 instances. Camartage. After a period of recovery, Ancient One's condition has improved a lot. At least the ability to think has been initially restored. An apprentice asked in confusion, a spatial anomaly? Does such a strange place really exist? Ancient One sighed, the interdimensional teleportation you are learning involves the laws of space. The interiors of those abnormal spaces are completely distorted and in chaos. Although he was very curious about the so-called spatial anomaly of SCP-1983-1, after experiencing the previous accident, Ancient One rationally chose to give up the exploration. SCP-1983-2 is a bipedal monster 1.8 meters tall. They have a vague humanoid shape and are completely black. They are extremely aggressive and will attack any human they see. When an instance of SCP-1983-2 comes into contact with a human, they will attack the victim's chest cavity by extending their upper limbs, but will not cause any superficial damage to the skin or tissue. Through unknown means, they then removed the victim's heart, thereby killing him. Once the human heart was obtained, the SCP-1983-2 instance returned to SCP-1983-1 demon? It's really a devil. Seeing this, the entire live broadcast room instantly became boiling. Damn it! Damn it! Isn't this the devil described in the Bible? Taking a heart from a distance, oh my god, this is so scary. How can this be the gate to the realm of death? This is the gate to hell. The audience was venting their shock crazily. And inside S.H.I.E.L.D., a group of senior executives and agents were all frowning. Especially Nick Fury. Even if I had guessed this at the beginning, when the guess came true, he still couldn't help feeling a little scared. An agent asked tremblingly, "Can something like this really be killed?" Nick Fury narrowed his eyes and added, "The most important thing is, there is most likely more than one SCP-1983-2. Nick Fury shuddered subconsciously at the thought of the overwhelming demons pouring into the world. That would be the end of the world. Stark Industries building. Jarvis, did you notice that? Tony leaned back in his office chair, looking up at the sky. Jarvis, notice what? Tony frowned and said, SCP-1983-2, those demons, once they obtain the heart, they will immediately return to the behavior in SCP-1983-1. What does Master mean? Tony's eyes sparkled with thought, and he said in a deep voice, "This reminds me of an insect that also exists in our world." You mean, ants? That's right. It's the ants. Tony stood up and paced back and forth while thinking, after the worker ants leave the nest and find food, they each bring it back to the hive and eventually give it to. Tony raised his head and trembled as he spoke his final guess, Queen Ant. Thinking of this, he suddenly raised his head and looked at the screen. So, the Devil's Queen Ant. What is it exactly? Firing silver bullets while praying is the only known method of killing SCP-1983-2. The content of the prayer and the faith of the person praying are not important, as long as the person praying is sincere enough. Once an SCP-1983-2 is killed, its body appears to evaporate, leaving behind only a layer of sulfur. Seeing this, the audience breathed a sigh of relief. At the very least, SCP-1983-2 is not invincible. The Foundation still has a way to kill demons. But, the audience couldn't help but feel worried for Lin Lang, a D-class personnel, when they thought about him having to come into contact with these demons with his bare hands. Besides, everyone is curious. SCP-1983's derivatives alone are so terrifying, what can Lin Lang and his group of D-class personnel do? Most importantly, how exactly does Dr. Kondraki intend to contain SCP-1983? Chapter 16. In the picture. As the content of the file ended, Lin Lang and his team had left the transport plane and arrived at a base that looked like a factory. Everyone immediately connected this factory building with Outpost 54 mentioned earlier. Inside the outpost, Dr. Kondraki is speaking. After SCP-1983's discovery, a team from Mobile Task Force SCH-I-E-13 was dispatched through the front doorway to investigate the anomaly. They did not return. After a pause, he continued, nevertheless, shortly after they entered, the front door appeared and closed. Or rather, it is closed to the door frame, because the door does not appear in the wall. Didn't the door appear in the wall? What does this mean? In the crowd, except for a few timid D-class personnel, the other agents and Mobile Task Force members all remained silent. Like solemn statues. Dr. Kondraki's tone remained unchanged. Some time ago, a second strike team entered SCP-1983-1 to determine the fate of the first strike team. They didn't come back. The front door was not closed. Shortly afterwards, Agent Morris entered the doorway due to the appearance of new instances of SCP-1983-2. Shortly after that, the front door closed. After that, he glanced at the people in front of him, and finally stopped at the D-class personnel, or rather, Lin Lang. Your mission is to enter SCP-1983-1 with a closed-circuit camera, check as many places as possible, and then try to return. The words fell. In the live broadcast room. The audience, who were full of curiosity just now, were stunned. It is not difficult to see from what Dr. Kondraki just said that the mortality rate of anyone who enters SCP-1983 is almost 100%. What? Is he kidding? Shit, does this doctor know what he said? I thought they were going to attract SCP-1983-2, but they ended up going inside SCP-1983-1. Damn it, last time he lured 682 with his bare hands, this time he sent people straight to hell. This doctor is the ultimate wolf destroyer. Damn it, he is indeed an executioner. The atmosphere inside S.H.I.E.L.D. was somewhat strange. After a long silence, an agent spoke indignantly, "Are all researchers at the SCP Foundation so cold-blooded?" Nick Fury glanced at him. He said, "If an unknown danger appears right before your eyes, would you let an agent who has been trained at great cost take charge, or an unforgivable death row inmate take charge?" The agent stopped talking. In fact, there are also some human experiments within S.H.I.E.L.D. It is not an exaggeration to say that without human experiments, there would be no Super Serum and no Captain Steve. Because of this, although he sympathizes with Lin Lang, he does not feel sorry for the other D-class personnel. What really concerns Nick Fury is, they didn't come back. Just these 6 short words meant that the first team to enter had been wiped out. But even so, the second team still went in. For those D-class personnel, there may be no choice. But what about other agents? A sentence suddenly occurred to him. The road ahead is long, what if I never come back? And never come back? In the picture. As Dr. Kondraki finished his words, there was a commotion among the D-class personnel. Perhaps because of the previous conversation, those people were desperate, but no one resisted anymore. They accepted their fate. Definitely, maybe they just act like this, who knows? On the way to SCP-1983-1, the D-class personnel who had volunteered to join the containment mission like Lin Lang came to Lin Lang. "Hey, brother, hello, you are the famous D-14134 in the base. I have admired you for a long time." The boy has an ordinary face, but his smile is very pure. So pure that one wonders how someone like him could become a D-class personnel. The boy was stunned for a moment, as if he didn't expect Lin Lang to take care of him, let alone ask this question. He opened his mouth, and the words came to his lips, but he swallowed them back. Finally, he showed a complicated smile, "I will tell you when we get out of that damn place." Hearing these words and looking at the boy's innocent smile, the audience in the live broadcast room all felt emotional. The appearance of the boy also made them realize that perhaps not all D-class personnel were vicious criminals. While talking, the crowd had arrived at a fenced farm. Looking at the old, dilapidated farm in the picture, everyone could not connect it with the gate to hell described in the archives. However, as a dark and strange shadow staggered out of the wooden house, countless people opened their eyes wide, as if they had seen a ghost. A vaguely humanoid creature appeared in the picture. Its entire body is pitch black, and its arms are long and slender like tentacles. There was also an indescribable black mist lingering on the surface of the body. A pair of scarlet eyes filled with madness and violence clung to that head that could not be described as a face. Unexpectedly, before the people at the scene could react. Bang! With a burst of gunfire, the monster fell to the ground. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a pool of sulfur-emitting yellow smoke. Dr. Kondraki glanced at it calmly, then looked away and explained, "Silver-plated bullets are the bane of these guys." Obviously, his explanation did not make the D-class personnel feel at ease. There was visible fear on their faces. The crazy scene of the monster with bared fangs and claws just now seemed to be still vivid in my mind. And they? About to enter these guys' lair. Chapter 17. Shit, was that guy SCP-1983-2? Oh my god, doesn't that look like the devil described in the Bible? Demons from hell will turn into sulfur after death. The live broadcast room was filled with an indescribable fear. Even the extraordinary heroes, recalling the horrible monster just now, I couldn't help but feel my scalp tingling. At this time, on the screen, Lin Lang and his team, still led by the agents, slowly entered the farm. 8 D-class personnel, each holding a camera and carrying supplies, were divided into 2 teams. Each team is led by 3 fully armed agents. Lin Lang happened to be assigned to the same team as the boy, and their agents were Captain A with a big beard, Team Member B who was a commando, and Ms. C who was an emergency responder. The 7 men came to the back of the farmhouse. The 3 agents looked at each other. Bang! Team Member B took the lead and pushed open the wooden back door, and everyone went in one after another. Seeing this, even the audience in the live broadcast room subconsciously clenched their fists, and even their breathing became a lot lighter. This immersive feeling touches everyone's nerves. Outside the farmhouse, Dr. Kondriki and several other technicians were watching the monitors in front of them. The other end of the monitor is connected to the cameras carried by the D-class personnel. The picture was very stable until Lin Lang's team of 7 entered the room. However, the moment they walked through the back door and entered the farmhouse, sizzle! The monitor instantly emitted an electric current sound, and the image turned into white noise. Several technicians were stunned. The camera signal is interrupted. As soon as he finished speaking, the rope connecting the camera suddenly tightened. Before anyone could react, it was torn apart with a bang. For a moment, the air seemed to stop. Dr. Kondriki frowned and shouted into the microphone, "What's going on? What happened in there?" However, there was no other sound in response except the crackling of the electric current. Seeing this scene, the live broadcast room was quiet at first, and the audience immediately became excited. What the hell? What happened? Damn it, an accident happened right after entering the door? What on earth is going on in there? Could it be that they encountered a demon and were wiped out? S.H.I.E.L.D. The agents' reactions were no better than those of the audience. Nick Fury frowned. Even if we encountered 1983-2, we wouldn't be completely defenseless. Could it be space anomaly? Kamartaj's Ancient One and Nick Fury generated the same speculation. She has the ability to teleport across space, and understands spatial anomalies better than anyone else. How horrible is it? At this time, the scene suddenly changed. Before everyone could react, bang bang bang! Dense gunshots and screams have appeared on the screen. Vaguely, you can also hear a lot of indescribable roars. The picture was dark. Only the fire between the bullets is bright. It was this fleeting firelight that allowed everyone to see clearly what was happening on the screen. I saw Lin Lang and his group running in panic. It's like there's a hell behind me. It was as if how long he could survive depended on how fast they could run. Careful people have noticed that of the 3D class personnel who entered the farmhouse with Lin Lang, only the boy is left, and the assaulter among the 3 agents is also missing. Only 4 people are left. The 4 people who fled in panic. While fleeing, the female emergency worker collapsed and cursed as she ran, "Hush, hush, hush. Dead, Bilson is dead just like that, Captain, did you see it? Those damn monsters killed him." Her whole body was trembling slightly with sorrow and pain. "Damn it, we could have saved him." Captain A was running last. He ignored the collapsed team members. Instead, he ran while turning back and shooting, muttering to himself as he did so. Seeing this scene, all kinds of doubts filled the audience's minds. What happened? What about the other D-class personnel and agents? Where exactly is this weird place? In the darkness, Lin Lang ran in the front. His sharp eyes seemed to be able to penetrate the darkness. Until everyone came to a fork in the road, Lin Lang said quickly, "There is a storage room in front of the left. This monster is sensitive to sound. Stop shooting and let's hide inside." As soon as he finished speaking, he rushed into the storage room. "Damn, who does this guy think he is? A doctor? Why?" Before the female team member could finish her words, the captain covered her mouth and chased her into the room. Sure enough, the footsteps and gunshots disappeared, and the monster's movements also disappeared. After confirming their safety, the 4 collapsed to the ground with a sense of relief. When the effect of adrenaline fades, the after effects of high tension come like a tide. The boy collapsed to the ground, his mouth open in a dying state. Lin Lang and the 2 agents were not much better. "Kid, who do you think you are? Why do you give us orders?" The female team member bent her waist, supported her hands on her knees, and said to Lin Lang fiercely, "If it weren't for you damn D." "Shut up!" Captain A yelled in a low voice. The female team members glared. The 2 looked at each other for 5 or 6 seconds before turning away unwillingly. Sweat mixed with tears slid down from the corners of her red eyes. "Sorry, she did this because of Bilson's death," Captain A explained bitterly. Lin Lang nodded, sat on the ground and took a long breath. He glanced at the boy on the ground with a painful look on his face, raised his head and whispered, "We have traveled through hundreds of different rooms, each with varying degrees of spatial distortion." Captain A listened in silence. "Also, there is no sky here, and there is no distinction between day and night." Captain A was stunned. "You mean?" Lin Lang said calmly, "This space gives me the feeling of a distorted kaleidoscope of space, with no exit and no entrance. No, thinking about it this way, maybe that door is the entrance. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. Seeing this, Nick Fury's eyes became more and more confused. Door? In other words, they came to this distorted space because they entered a certain door? Thinking of the space anomaly mentioned in the previous file, Nick Fury's expression looked a little ugly. This also. It's too unbelievable. Chapter 18. In the picture. Hearing this, Captain A laughed bitterly. To be honest, I almost lost the ability to think. On the ground, the boy struggled to stand up. At the moment, the innocence on his face before entering the door was gone, and it was replaced by lingering fear. He looked at Lin Lang expectantly. So, the Foundation will send someone to rescue us, right? For a moment, all three of them were silent. The hope in the boy's eyes faded away at a visible speed. For a moment, an atmosphere of despair spread, and the boy's deliberately suppressed sobs touched everyone's nerves. Captain A was about to speak when he saw Lin Lang take out a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket. There were crumpled words printed on the note, obviously left by someone. Lin Lang also explained the origin of the note. This was found on a dried corpse before. The author is the agent who entered here before us, his name should be Backlay. In the screen, Captain A was visibly stunned. You mean the body we found while escaping that had blown off its own heart? Yes. Lin Lang unfolded the note in his hand, and the audience in the live broadcast room were able to read the content. Project number, waiting for number object class, Keter. God bless you. See this familiar format and content. On the blue planet. Whether it is a live broadcast room, or the extraordinary chat group, everyone was stunned. They suddenly remembered, isn't this the file format for the Foundation's internal containment objects? Looking at the scribbled handwriting on the note, and then thinking about the other party's suicide. The same picture emerged in everyone's mind. An agent who had run out of ammunition and food wrote such a file in a desperate environment surrounded by demons. I wrote down the information I and my companions had found. No one could imagine what kind of belief supported him. Unexpectedly, after the next sentence appeared, the style of the painting suddenly changed. Special containment procedures, you're going to die, you hapless idiot. See here, not to mention Captain A, even the audience in the live broadcast room were stunned. S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury's face darkened. Maria, the assistant at the side, couldn't help but smile. Then I remembered that this was not a situation in which to laugh out loud. He quickly suppressed his smile. Shenjin, made me laugh a little. In the screen, after this interruption, although the atmosphere was a bit weird, at least it was no longer as depressing as before. Keep reading. This is not alarmist. I am Agent Barclay. I'm in this stupid building, and I promise you, if you were here, you'd be dead too. By the time you read this, I'll probably be dead. See here, the boy turned away without saying a word. The female agent's face didn't look good either. Only Lin Lang remained calm. It's impossible to get out of here, so let's talk about the containment procedures directly. There's only one FG way to do this, close the damn door. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury's eyes flashed. Door? The door again? At the moment, for the door that is constantly being raised, I'm extremely curious. You can't go back. You may have tried. Those things can get out from here, although it may take some effort. That's how we found this damn place, after all. I hope you closed the door when you came in. We closed the door when we gave up and left here. If you didn't close the door, then turn around and close it. That's your first priority now. You're going to die anyway. At least do something good before you die. See here, Stark Industries building. Tony looked at the sky and smiled mockingly. Do good deeds? You expect the D-class personnel who are used as guinea pigs to do good deeds? What the hell are you thinking? Jarvis, maybe Agent Backlay thought the person who picked up the note was an agent. Tony shrugged. Maybe. Anyway, no D-class personnel would be stupid enough to do such a thing. In the screen, Lin Lang and the others continued to watch in silence. Description. So, here's the story. You've probably heard it all. The Foundation has received reports of trouble in the middle of nowhere and data expunged. Cows and wildlife are mysteriously dying. Some people were missing. When a body was found, the autopsy showed that the heart was missing. It wasn't cut out, it wasn't ripped out, it was just gone. The inside of the chest was empty. They found some dark guys wandering around nearby. Some high-ranking members of the Foundation seem to have seen these things and know how to kill them, use silver bullets and pray to God while shooting. No kidding, this is literal. I don't know why this works. It doesn't matter which god it is, but you better take it seriously. Everyone recalled that the captain had been muttering to himself every time he fired a gun. Only then did I realize that he was praying. Captain A saw everyone looking at him and made the sign of the cross on his chest. I am a Catholic, he said devoutly. Everyone looked at the note again. But after seeing the nest of those things, I can no longer pray. No matter which FG task force you are from, it could be CQRNOS or choirboys, if you open the door and rush in like I did, you are F-ed. The female agent cursed secretly, damn it, they're all first-time agents on a mission, and they're all good. The female agent said this with some dismay. Yes, all the outstanding predecessors died in this damn place. What about us? Those things are hard to see with your eyes here. You may have noticed. They are like shadows. You have to stay away from the light source. In the dark, those things can hardly touch you, and can't see you clearly. I think those things find you through your shadow. But to be honest, I'm not sure, I just think it's likely. You may have already tried to go out the door, but if you haven't, don't think about it. That will lead to a worse place. There aren't many monsters there, but Joan went too far away from the house, and I swear, he began to melt. Chapter 19. Things kept coming out of his body. Anyway, he didn't come back. That's why we closed the door. Seeing this, expressions of horror suddenly appeared on the faces of several people at the scene. The audience in the live broadcast room were even more shocked. No wonder they say you're dead once you come in. Enter, what awaits are endless demons. Retreat, it melts directly when it leaves the door. What the hell should I do? In the picture, the female agent cursed secretly, shit, madman, FK. It was obvious that she had already intended to find the door and leave. Pity, that is also a dead end. As for what this place is like, I can only say that it's huge. It's not just a farmhouse. It's like those things stole bits and pieces of space from various places and pieced them together randomly. Some of them look like apartments, others look like shopping malls, and one is definitely an old closet from my high school. It's exactly the same, even down to the plaid pattern. There are also some fragments that are not made of stuff. They are black, like shadow matter, and most of them are in well-lit areas. If the light can get through, you can put your hand through. I don't recommend it. That's how we lost Torres. Something grabbed him and pulled him in. The hole was too small for his head, but he got in anyway. Seeing this, a picture instantly emerged in everyone's mind. An agent was grabbed by some entity and pulled towards a dark cave. The huge file-size black hole is obviously not as big as the agent's head, so his whole body was crushed by the hole. Thinking of this, everyone's hair stood on end. At the same time, a sense of sadness emerged in my heart. Such a horrific scene was described so lightly by the agent. The fear he suffered was greater than anyone else. Definitely, there is no escape. We've figured that out as well. Any door you find just leads to another room in this stupid house, or back around. Obviously we can't live here. So all you can do is wait to starve to death or wait until one of those things catches you. Plenty of choices, hey? There is one more thing you can do. I couldn't do it, but maybe you can. This won't keep you alive, I don't think, but I think it's important. I'm sure someone has to do this, otherwise those things will get out there and cause trouble sooner or later. Thinking of the demons that walked out of the farmhouse, everyone sighed. They had evidently gotten outside and were causing harm to people. I only saw that thing once, and for a short moment. We followed it after one of them got Denning's heart. It took the heart and went into a room that I guess was the center of the place. It's all just shadowy stuff, and I think they're bringing in whatever light they can find. Fluorescent lights, flashlights, candles, whatever you want to call them. They're bringing in more light as I watch. In the center of the room, there was a pile of hearts. Each heart was torn apart and thrown there in a pile. Those things threw Denning's heart on it, and the heart began to beat and tremble violently. Then it tore apart, and the new members of those things tried to crawl out of the heart. It swayed, slowly grew, and took shape. The disgusting thing was that the heart was obviously torn apart but it still beat hard. I swear I felt a sharp pain in my chest. See here, especially the vivid description of the agent. Not to mention the agent who wrote this document, even the audience in the live broadcast room felt a subconscious pain in their hearts. Stark Industries building. Tony frowned slightly. I guessed wrong. The worker ants didn't bring back food. What they brought back was a breeding ground. Tony felt a chill run down his spine when he thought of that scene. That's when I started running away. I couldn't take it anymore, you know? I wasn't trained to deal with this kind of shit. I found a closet that was the perfect size for a dark space and have been hiding there ever since. I write with a small flashlight and turn it off when I hear something approaching. So far, it's working fine. Seeing this, the audience in the live broadcast room just remembered, even those fully armed agents are just ordinary people after all. Put yourself in their shoes, even if it's a superhero, after encountering such a bizarre and terrifying scene, I'm afraid there's nothing you can do to save anything, right? I can't hold on any longer. I still have some bullets in my gun, but I can't pray anymore, and I mean it. But you, if you found this, you must also be an agent. Maybe you are stronger than me. If you can, go and destroy the nest. Destroy every heart. If you do that, you might be able to kill them. It's the only thing I can think of. You might die while doing it, but you'll be dead anyway. So what are you afraid of? I'll try to get the report to the living room, where you'll hopefully find it. Then I'll make sure they don't use my heart to create another monster. Seeing this, and thinking back to what Captain A said before, the corpse that blew out its own heart. Some people were curious at the time. If you want to commit suicide, why not just shoot yourself in the head? Why break the heart? Until now, everyone suddenly realized. So that's how it is. For a moment, everyone felt mixed emotions. Lin Lang held up the note and held it under the dim light. Everyone was also able to see the last line of words. Good luck, I salute you from the decedent. Chapter 20. Go to decedent, salute to you. S.H.I.E.L.D. The agents who were discussing the matter trembled as if they were burned by a branding iron. Everyone imagined the agent hiding in the window, writing down the files with the dim light. Imagine the text in the archives that are clearly mixed with personal emotions. But I can't imagine it. How he saw the horrors of hell with his own eyes, write down such an inspiring sentence. For a moment, the entire Marvel universe felt a sour taste in their mouths. Seeing this, Lin Lang accepted the note. No one spoke, and everyone seemed to be thinking about something. Silence for a while. Door. The captain subconsciously looked at the female agent. He said solemnly, "Did we close that door when we came in?" Obviously, he was talking about the door that had led everyone into this hellish place. It also cuts off everyone's hope of survival. The gate of death. As if she remembered something, the female agent's face suddenly turned pale. The atmosphere suddenly became solemn. Obviously, no. That is to say, the monsters inside will constantly walk out of the gate of death and enter the society. Then kill every living thing you see. Take away the heart, go back to the door and hatch more and more demons. Over and over again. Thinking of this, Captain A's face became serious, but he still gritted his teeth and said, "The door must be closed." He looked at the female agent. The other person's body trembled, and he avoided his gaze helplessly. The captain was silent. He seemed to be having a fierce battle in his mind. After hesitating for a while, he turned his neck stiffly. Turn your attention to Lin Lang. Seeing this scene, the audience in the live broadcast room were stunned at first. After realizing what the captain meant, someone immediately started cursing. Damn, this guy doesn't count on Lin Lang and the others, right? Yeah, this is obviously not the mission of their D-class personnel, okay? Let's not talk about whether the D-class personnel and the agents are on the same side. All of his specially trained personnel have died in pairs, and now he expects Lin Lang and his team to accomplish this. I wish they would die. The audience all stood up for Lin Lang. Rely on society? In the picture. PSST even Lin Lang himself let out a complicated laugh. But after laughing, he held the report in one hand, or the suicide note of Agent Barkley, and rubbed a random place on it with the other hand. I don't know what he was thinking. Everyone heard him whispering, "Foundation Agent Barkley. Barkley committed suicide after writing the report." He exhaled slowly and closed his eyes. As people explained to him, he had too many reasons to refuse this job. I am just a D-class personnel, with only 2 rookie agents and a boy with a head full of fantasies around me. In addition, I am a D-class personnel, even if I am just playing a D-class personnel. I have no good impression of the Foundation at all, and there is no need for me to obey the orders of the agents. He asked himself more than once, as a D-class personnel, do I need to sacrifice myself for this world? At the beginning of the performance, he secretly warned himself that he just needed to do his part well. So when facing Little Peanut, even at that critical moment, he still tried his best to bring out the secretions. Because his job is to collect secretions. When facing 682, he tried his best to lead 682 to the mobile task force so that they could contain it. Because his mission is to assist the task force in containing 682. However, this time, he clearly remembered that his mission was only to explore as much as possible and then try to return. Instead, close the damn door. There is no going back now, but even if I could get relief with a bullet in my temple, it would be better than going to the most dangerous place to die. Isn't it? His eyelids trembled slightly, but his expression remained unchanged, and countless thoughts and ideas flashed through his mind. He looked down at the report. Although turning on the light is dangerous, but he still read it again carefully. When he saw the words "salute you" from the decedent again, an inexplicable emotion surged up. He suddenly laughed. Mouth opened silently, the smile is slightly curved. It seems a bit ironic. This was the second time he smiled from the bottom of his heart since he came into this world. At this moment, he just thought it was too funny. A D-class personnel, now I have to save the world. Ha 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 ha. Finally, he opened his eyes. Then he said calmly, I'll try. He didn't know why he made such a choice. It's an indescribable feeling. It's like a relay of responsibility. At this moment, the audience in the Marvel world opened their mouths wide and stared at the screen. Countless people even thought they were hallucinating. The live broadcast room suddenly exploded. Oh my god, what did he say? He agreed. Shit, this guy, why doesn't he know how to say no? It was the same before, and it's the same now. Don't you know you're just a D-class personnel? Lin Lang, there is no need for you to face an enemy you cannot defeat. Countless people's hearts were gripped by Lin Lang's 3 short words. Stark Industries building. Tony looked at Lin Lang's figure on the screen. There was a long silence. Then he cursed out loud in annoyance, stupid. Stupid. Camartage. A young apprentice came to the Ancient One, Sorcerer Supreme, I don't understand why he agreed to this mission. That's not his job, is it? Upon hearing this, Ancient One patted his apprentice's head and forced a smile, something has to be done by someone. Chapter 21. Bang. As dark as ever, the usual sound of gunfire. The brief firelight illuminated Lin Lang's slightly excited eyes. He looked pious, Our Father in Heaven. Bang. Another monster with bared fangs and claws screamed and roared and disappeared, turning into a shadow. Just put down your arms, there was no time to breathe. He rolled forward based on his instinct alone, and another monster quickly pounced on the place where he was originally standing behind him and passed by him. Raise your gun. Aim, your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Bang bang bang. The bursting fire flashed constantly on the screen. Accompanied by strange howls, all the demons in the room fell under Lin Lang's gun. He stopped praying. He then turned to look at the dying female agent on the ground. The female agent's face was pale, and a large amount of blood was pouring out of her throat. She was already on her deathbed. Seeing this scene, the audience in the live broadcast room were shocked and confused. There were 4 people in the last second. How come in the blink of an eye, just 2 of us? What exactly happened? Lin Lang squatted down, looked at the female agent and said calmly, Sorry, we're out of medicine. The female agent seemed to have heard something funny. PSST. While spitting out a pool of blood, he grinned and said, Unless there is some medicine that can help me grow a new heart, I will definitely die. After that, the female agent reached out and hooked Lin Lang's chin. There was no more contempt and disgust in her eyes. Instead, there is appreciation and a hint of regret. If it happens again, I might be attracted to you. Lin Lang still said in that calm tone, the Foundation does not allow anyone to develop feelings for D-class personnel. You, PSST UBD, you are still as inhumane as ever. The female agent spat out blood again, and the smile on her face gradually froze. Lin Lang and countless viewers in the Marvel world just watched. Watching death sweep through this young body bit by bit. For a moment, all the audience in the live broadcast room felt like something was blocking their hearts and they couldn't breathe. S.H.I.E.L.D. The agents who were just indignant about the female agent evading responsibility were all silent. A person's reaction when they are afraid is the most real reaction. What can they blame the female agent for? She's great, Nick Fury said in a deep voice. But despite his emotion, he still couldn't understand what had happened during this period of time. Fortunately, Lin Lang has the habit of recording everything at any time. He picked up the camera in his arms and pointed the lens at himself. 3 days ago, the 4 of us split into 2 groups and went to look for the door separately. The female agent and I failed to find the door, but found the nest that Backlay mentioned in the report. Perhaps the monsters also noticed that someone had come in to fight them, and they also understood that eggs should not be put in one basket, so they divided the nest that was originally equivalent to their headquarters into multiple strongholds to avoid being wiped out by the enemy in one fell swoop. We cleaned up all the way until now. As he spoke, he turned around holding the camera. With the faint red light from the camera, everyone could barely see what was happening in the room. Sure enough, on the wooden floor of the room, there was a thick layer of blood and flesh. The flesh and blood beat like a heart. But if you look carefully, you can find that what's beating is not the heart, but the demons inside the heart that can't wait to break out. Seeing such a horrifying scene, the audience in the live broadcast room all gasped. What the hell? What the hell is this? This is so disgusting. I'm going to throw up. Could this be the heart that the demons hid before? They really are using the heart to reproduce. Looking at the constantly squirming and twisting heart in the picture, even the extraordinary heroes who were used to seeing many storms and waves felt a chill. Stark Industries building. Tony propped up his chin and frowned. It's actually used for reproduction. But if they can only use hearts to reproduce, then how did the original demon appear? Obviously, this is another chicken or egg problem. Tony looked at the screen again, seemed to have discovered something, and his expression was shocked. What the hell is this? In the picture, as Lin Lang turned around inadvertently, his eyes immediately focused on a picture on the wall. It was covered with all kinds of unknown symbols, the handwriting was sloppy and had a hideous feel, and the paint used was an uncomfortable reddish-brown color. There are not only symbols on it, but also various other indescribable bloody pictures, like a cult sacrifice. Similar patterns appeared in the nests that were cleared previously. As he spoke, he took out several bottles of medical alcohol from his bag. Evenly sprinkled on the floor. Then he took out a lighter from his pocket. Snap! Boom! The tiny flame instantly turned into a pool of blue flame. The squirming flesh seemed to perceive the danger, and its movements suddenly became more violent. Faintly, the audience in the live broadcast room seemed to hear the wails and roars from hell. Only when his heart was burned to charcoal did Lin Lang get up. After staring at the female agent's body for a few seconds, he took off her dog tag, walked out of the room resolutely, and ran towards the last nest. S.H.I.E.L.D. The agents were chattering, but a new face appeared in the crowd. Natasha Romanoff, codenamed Black Widow, came to Nick Fury and said in an unhappy tone, "The guy refused to talk to us." Nick Fury was stunned. "He didn't see you? I mean, after he saw you, he still refused." Natasha Romanoff gets angry when this is mentioned. "No, he refused without even meeting me." Although beauty is not her trump card, she still feels resentful of Lin Lang's inhumane behavior. Nick Fury stroked his chin, looked at the screen, and said calmly, "This guy hasn't changed at all in his past and present lives." Natasha Romanoff also looked at the screen and pursed her lips. Proud men usually don't have good luck. As he said that, he noticed Nick Fury's dark face and said, "Boss, you look very bad." Nick Fury was stunned for a moment, then shook his head and did not answer. For some reason, when he saw Lin Lang successfully destroying a nest in the picture, he always felt a strange sense of disobedience. Since the heart is a breeding ground for monsters, why aren't there more monsters in the nest than outside? Chapter 22. In the picture, Lin Lang has arrived at the last stronghold, which is also the most central place of the entire house. In the past, whenever he cleaned, his face would show more or less tension and fatigue. But this time I was just calm and composed. Even relax a little. 3 seconds later, gunshots rang out. Give us this day our daily bread. Lin Lang brought almost all of his silver bullets to fight this last stronghold with all his strength. The original nest. So he didn't save his ammunition like before, but fired at full force without any scruples, venting all his emotions to the end. The usually silent space was now filled with gunshots, the sound of things colliding, roars, and Lin Lang's prayers. Forgive us our debts. Bang bang bang. As we forgive our debtors. Bang bang bang. The silver light from the flying bullets and the sparks from the collisions illuminated the entire space dazzlingly. Perhaps even Lin Lang himself did not notice that on his face, which rarely showed any emotion, at the moment he was wearing a hint of arrogant sneer. Finally, Lin Lang is no longer depressed. He laughed so loudly that the prayers in his mouth took on an indescribable strange taste. He laughed loudly, shot a monster's head with his backhand, opened a glass container tied to his waist, and a strong and pungent smell of alcohol emanated. He waved his hand and scattered it towards the target direction. This is a narrow-mouthed bottle with a very small mouth. Only a small part of the liquid has been released, floating in the air like a transparent ribbon, with a few drops of water following it. The ribbon slowly falls from the air, and underneath it is a short candle, burning flickeringly. The moment they touched, the transparent ribbon seemed to be artificially painted a layer of fiery red, and the other end just happened to touch the pile of hearts in the center of the room. As if a bonfire had been lit, the room was instantly illuminated. The remaining monsters around began to melt and disintegrate, breaking into particles invisible to the naked eye, and then dissipated. The bonfire in the center went out after a few minutes, revealing a charred heart in the middle. Lin Lang stared at the unburned embers for a while, then sat down and finally lay down on the wooden floor. Phew, he let out a long sigh. The fatigue that had accumulated over the past 3 days came flooding back like a tide. At the moment he didn't even want to move a finger. Seeing this, the audience in the live broadcast room breathed a sigh of relief and were excited for Lin Lang. Damn it, it's finally over. I can't even breathe after watching this. Lin Lang is so damn handsome. With a silver bullet in one hand and a Bible in the other, a demon hunter is just like this, right? It's a pity that we still don't know the status of the door. If the door is also closed, the dust will be settled. Door? When this word came into my mind, the live broadcast room that was just filled with lively chatter seemed to have suddenly pressed the pause button. Yes. There is also a door. However, at this moment, the audience was surprised to find that Lin Lang on the screen not only did not show any joy, but instead seemed to be talking to himself in a daze. Is this the end? It feels like a dream. Lin Lang took a deep breath, barely stood up and walked a few steps around the room. However, as he walked, his expression became strange. He walked around the room aimlessly for a few times, his steps became faster and faster, and the amplitude of his hands swinging became faster and faster. Seeing this scene, even the audience could feel a sense of uneasy fear spreading in their hearts. Something's wrong. Lin Lang raised the camera again and pointed the lens at himself. At the moment his face was filled with lingering doubts and vigilance. But in the eyes of the audience, nothing around me has changed. Still the same giant. There is still no exit. It is still a dead end. S.H.I.E.L.D. What happened? Natasha Romanoff frowned. You finally managed to break through hell, but you're confused at this moment. Nick Fury didn't say a word, but stared at the screen intently, as if trying to find the source of Lin Lang's uneasiness. No, that's not right. Nick Fury seemed to have discovered something incredible and said in shock, look at the wall. At the same time, Lin Lang, who had just taken a few steps, seemed to have sensed something. Stop. His eyes quickly scanned the surroundings. He ruled out many possibilities. At last, his eyes rested on the wall in front of him. It is engraved with all kinds of distorted symbols and patterns. He had seen it before in many rooms. But now it's different. The slightly dull reddish-brown on it turned into a dazzling bright red. As bright as freshly flowing blood. The remaining relaxation in Lin Lang immediately dissipated, and his uneasy mood instantly reached its maximum. He turned away immediately. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. What? Bang! Gunshots rang out, but the silver-plated bullets and prayers seemed to have lost their effect at this moment. At this moment, the audience in the live broadcast room felt a jolt in their hearts at the same time. Two doubts filled everyone's mind. Why are there still demons? Why, silver bullets and prayers don't work anymore? In the picture, Lin Lang is trying desperately to avoid the devil. Before he could react, he heard a creaking sound from the wooden floor behind him. He looked back. The blood in my body suddenly coagulated. No one could describe how he felt at that moment. Just like the mood of all the viewers in the live broadcast room. Hundreds of entities appeared, like human-shaped black holes, walked over and surrounded him. At this moment, despair is like a huge wave covering the sky. Sweeping Lin Lang, it also swept the entire live broadcast room. God seems to love playing jokes. Before Lin Lang had time to be happy about breaking through hell, he once again encountered an existence that was far more terrifying than hell. Faintly, everyone seemed to hear Lin Lang's bitter voice, turn out to be, hell is not connected to heaven, but another hell. As if to confirm his words. Boom. The usually silent environment was broken. The floor was shaking violently, and there were constant sounds of things colliding and breaking outside the room. The monsters in the room screamed and walked towards the person in the center of them. Finally, they mixed together like a liquid integrate, like a ball of ink squirming, and only a face could be seen at the top, the real master of these monsters. With eyes closed, smiling. Chapter 23. S.H.I.E.L.D. Natasha Romanoff watched all this in a daze, unable to react to the situation in front of her. There was no strength to even raise despair in my heart. At this moment, she looked at the tiny, helpless figure on the screen. Suddenly I felt a little heartache. Then I looked at the strange existence on the screen. He trembled and asked, "What is this?" Even Nick Fury's dark face turned slightly pale. He is well traveled and has even been to other planets with Marvel Woman. But even so, the terrifying giant shadow before him still exceeded his imagination. It suddenly occurred to him, those of them hiding behind the screen were so terrified, so how desperate would Lin Lang be when facing this guy? Camartage. Oh my god, what is this? The apprentices screamed one after another, but the Ancient One had no intention of replying. Here we go again. She once again felt the terrifying aura from this figure. It was as if there was some indescribable existence hidden behind this guy. She couldn't help but think. In the world where the SCP Foundation exists, how many such entities are there? How did the humans in that world not go crazy? Her brain began to ache again and she dared not think about it anymore. "Thank you for everything you have done," said the humanoid shadow monster. Perhaps it is the despair after despair. At the moment, Lin Lang calmed down. He didn't bother to examine the true meaning of what the person in front of him said. Instead, he subconsciously asked, "Who are you?" Lin Lang didn't expect the other party to answer his question. But unexpectedly, the other party thought about it and actually replied, "You can regard me as our leader and representative." "Oh, we are what you call monsters. Devils, demons, shadow monsters." Seeing this, the audience in the live broadcast room were stunned. This guy in front of me is actually the representative of the devil? Are you crazy? In the picture, he was silent for a while, as if he was thinking of many things, and frowned and said, "All of this was created by you." Unexpectedly, the giant black shadow in front of me readily admitted, "Yes, but we would not be able to do this without the Lord's help." It glanced around, and its words revealed admiration and enthusiasm. S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury frowned when he heard this. Host? The murals and altars he had seen before suddenly flashed through his mind. When he tried to connect them with the words just now, he finally had a preliminary understanding of the current situation. He took a deep breath, and under the puzzled gazes of the S.H.I.E.L.D. executives and agents, he began to describe, "From the beginning, we ignored one issue, the cult that was mentioned several times." Cult? The agents cried out in surprise. Natasha Romanoff frowned and thought for a moment. Suddenly, her expression was shocked and she said in disbelief, "You mean, the distorted space in this farmhouse, the demons that can only be killed with silver bullets and prayers, and this big guy in front of us are all caused by cult activities?" Natasha Romanoff didn't say a word, but the agents' faces turned paler. "If that's the case, then the Lord this guy mentioned." Nick Fury nodded and said in a trembling voice, "At the very least, he is an evil god-level existence." Evil god? Upon hearing this word, the agents' faces instantly lost all color. He wasn't the only one who realized this. Asgard. Loki sat on the throne with a look of disdain on his face. God? Just something created by a bunch of lunatics using rituals can be called a god. In the picture. After saying that in a high-pitched voice, the black shadow stared at Lin Lang. As if wanting to see something from his face. Pity. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. A few seconds passed, and there was no shock or reverence on Lin Lang's face, not even the most basic fear. Not only that, there was even a hint of mockery on Lin Lang's face. Lord? You are like this? Lin Lang clenched his fists, his muscles tensed, and he clenched his teeth and sneered, what kind of master would choose a fellow like you who is not up to the standard as his followers? Seeing this, some people in the live broadcast room exclaimed. Obviously, they saw that Lin Lang was deliberately using words to provoke the other party. Unfortunately, the other party did not get angry, but just stood there. After a while, he slowly spoke, the Lord will not fight back against your slanderous words about him, because in your still primitive and aging form, you naturally cannot understand the Lord's greatness. Can't understand? Lin Lang sneered a few times and said in a mocking tone, you can't think of a way to give your disgusting, distorted faith in your bullshit Lord a cloak of holiness? Do you intend to use this as an excuse? This time, Lin Lang's words obviously angered the other party. The group of monsters in front of him began to stir after hearing these words, and occasionally let out low roars. The giant black shadow also frowned, but did not make any move towards him. Instead, it turned around and let out an incomprehensible roar to its companions around it, and then all the entities fell silent. It turned around and continued to speak coldly to Lin Lang, well, I was going to ignore you, but we can't forgive your ignorance like the Lord, so listen carefully to the following words, which will make you realize how ridiculous your previous statement is. And, it seemed to have thought of something, and a strange smile appeared on its face, but it disappeared immediately. It might answer your question about why things aren't what you thought they were when you've wiped out all the hearts. Hearing these words, the audience in the live broadcast room were stunned. Turned out to be. This guy knew what Lin Lang was doing from the beginning. But why didn't it block? Isn't the heart that Lin Lang destroyed the one that has not yet hatched? Trask. Chapter 24. In the screen, Lin Lang's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. Because the situation changed so suddenly, he temporarily ignored this issue. But now that he was reminded of it, it immediately took over his whole body and mind. Especially listening to the tone of that monster, a bad feeling emerged. For the first time, Lin Lang lost his composure and looked a little suspicious and irritated. Finally, the shadow spoke again, in fact, what we are now is what human beings are supposed to be. We can also use the word evolution to understand that we have stronger abilities and potentials, and the human body is just a cumbersome shell. Listening to these inexplicable words, Lin Lang frowned, and suddenly felt a little uneasy. This is the attitude we should have. But for some reason, perhaps it was a curse brought on by other factors, or a restriction, the power it represents has been trapped deep within our bodies. In the heart, to be exact. The shadow kept speaking in a tone that showed no emotion, it's like holding power in a cage. As long as the heart is beating, the cage is unbreakable, but it cannot die or be destroyed, because the power inside is also attached to it, and once the cage is damaged, the power will also die. After that, it lowered its head and smiled at Lin Lang, then continued, but the Great Lord has given us the key that allows the power to break free without damaging the original in the process. When the heart loses the energy supplied by the body but has not yet completely died, we can use the key to open the lock of the cage and release this power. The Lord also needs us. When more and more people evolve, the Lord's will come closer and be integrated with us, helping us reach a new height. Definitely, it sounds simple, but it is quite troublesome to actually implement it. The preparation of the ceremony alone is troublesome, but in addition to that, some other assistance is also needed. Its words seemed to have a meaningful meaning. The audience in the live broadcast room immediately remembered the heart that was mentioned repeatedly before. Stark Industries building. Tony suddenly felt like he was pricked by a needle. Then suddenly I remembered the first words this guy said when he saw Lin Lang, "Thank you for everything you do." Thinking of this, he seemed to have phantom pain in his chest. A fear he had never felt before arose in his heart, the degree of which was even greater than all the fears he had felt before. Cold sweat appeared on his forehead. He had a feeling that Lin Lang seemed to have fallen into a sophisticated and sinister trap, the depth of which he could not estimate at all. "Jarvis, Master, I have detected abnormal mood swings on your part." Tony forced himself to wave his hand, his eyes never leaving the screen. He already had an incredible guess. Food? A breeding ground? No. Neither. It's a cage. Tony's voice and the voice of the dark figure in the picture sounded almost at the same time. As if to deliberately destroy Lin Lang's psychological defenses, this guy leaned over and looked at him with pity. When you see monsters coming out of the heart one by one, isn't it easy to think that the monsters are produced by these poor and weak organs? As if to confirm his guess, the Black Shadow continued to speak slowly. So when you wanted to solve the problem here, did you first think of eliminating the source of the monster in your eyes? Lin Lang's back was already wet with cold sweat. He gritted his teeth and retorted, since those monsters have already appeared, then according to what you said, the heart has lost its function as a cage. In any case, destroying them will at least not have any adverse effects. After hearing this, the audience in the live broadcast room also echoed it. Apparently, they thought so too. Because in everyone's opinion, the heart can be a cage or a hotbed. At least after being destroyed, no new demons were created, right? The Black Shadow smiled at Lin Lang again. This time the smile was particularly obvious and exaggerated, and it looked extremely weird with its face. Looking at this face, the little hope in the hearts of the audience in the live broadcast room slowly disappeared, and their hearts sank completely. The Black Shadow smiled and said, although the heart is fragile, the confinement is quite strong, and the connection is not ordinary close. Even if the power is released, some of it will still remain. As you can see, it can be easily solved with a silver bullet and a prayer. So they must be completely destroyed. At this point, the shadow paused and said, we can't cause any damage to it, so we can only rely on other forces, that is, you outsiders. It lowered its head and said in a slightly proud tone, otherwise, do you think you could have survived until now? As Sombra finished speaking, all the audiences in the Marvel world fell into an eerie silence. All doubts were suddenly resolved at this moment. However, they did not feel any joy at all, instead they felt a strong sense of powerlessness. S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury's eyes trembled. He now understands a lot. Why are there fewer monsters in the nest than outside? Why doesn't Lin Lang attract other monsters every time he destroys a stronghold? I also understood why I had been feeling so uncomfortable before. Everything was easier than he thought. Yes, how can hell end so easily? It's quite troublesome to have to wait for others to do this. The flow of time here is different from that outside. It usually takes several months or even years to wait for an outsider. The shadow ignored Lin Lang's status and continued, in order not to arouse suspicion from outsiders, we try to adjust our thinking abilities to the level that is almost the same as Beast, and act only on instinct. And when you start trying to destroy the heart, our remaining sanity will automatically take certain measures to reduce the difficulty to cooperate with your actions. That's the whole truth. It paused for a moment, and then said in a comforting tone, but even in this situation it is very difficult. I have to say you are quite amazing. You were able to pass it in one go. I thought I would have to wait a few more months. After saying this, it took a few steps back. There were a few strange whistles, as if issuing some kind of order. The whole building began to tremble and groan, and the surrounding monsters began to move towards it. Chapter 25. The development of the plot to this point can be said to have completely exceeded everyone's expectations. Clearly, containment mission failed. At this moment, no one would blame Lin Lang in the picture. Seeing him collapse to the ground in despair, everyone felt heartbroken. Extraordinary chat group Steve, Lin Lang is a real warrior. It's a pity that he didn't get the favor of the god of luck. Tony, no, Steve, you are wrong. Real warriors do not need the favor of the god of luck. They always rely on themselves. Deadpool, yo, Iron Man, that's not what you said before. Natasha Romanoff, Lin Lang has done a good job. Unfortunately, this mission is too difficult. Wave after wave of despair swept over everyone. Why? Why have Lin Lang and his team achieved this but still failed to end the anomaly? Is it true that humans have no chance of winning when faced with anomalies? However, just when everyone was immersed in despair, Nick Fury of S.H.I.E.L.D. seemed to see something that no one noticed. In the picture, the Black Shadow and the demons that kept pouring into its body seemed to be performing a final descending ritual. Therefore, even if Lin Lang was doing some small movements, he couldn't disturb them. For Black Shadow, everything is settled. However, is this really the case? Lin Lang stood there for a long time, a brainstorming session going on in his mind that no one else could see. After a while, he seemed to have thought of something, and his mentality, which was on the verge of collapse, was suddenly shaken. He focused his mind again and thought seriously about the spark of inspiration that emerged. A key can open a lock. Only halfway through the thought, the idea that had been lingering on the edge of my mind suddenly became clear, like an epiphany. He looked around him. There are 2 bullets left. In his hand was a dagger with a dented edge. And the bottle of alcohol not far from me, which still had 2/3 of alcohol left. In addition, the floor beneath the body is a wooden structure. Enough. He stared at these few things he had left and looked up at the dark figure. It is constantly fermenting, like huge amounts of virus. He looked at the altar again. It was not that he knew nothing about it. He had fiddled with it and even tried to destroy it when he had cleaned several strongholds before. However, his hasty actions made him not have a deep understanding of this thing, but that was enough. He knew that the huge black shadow and other monsters never paid any attention to him, as if he was just an ant that happened to pass by. All the words explained to him before were just the winner's mockery of the loser, to make the latter fully understand the gap between the two. But now this is exactly what he expected. The collapse just now was only because the change came too suddenly and too strongly, making him feel unable to resist for a while, but this was not enough to completely destroy his heart. All the hard moments in his life before and after joining the Foundation were there. Go to decedent and salute you. Those were the last words Backlay had ever said to him, and now he was repeating them to himself. He smiled. This time it was him who smiled, not someone else. So, in the following time, everyone in the live broadcast room just watched Lin Lang running around in the dark like a headless fly. Click, click. Ding bing clang. The noise finally disturbed the huge black shadow. It saw Lin Lang with disheveled hair, confused eyes, and limbs waving uncontrollably. I saw him stagger to his feet, and then tried to run out of the room with the same messy steps, almost tripping over himself several times along the way. After finally reaching the door, he suddenly stopped and looked up at the wall in front of him. The door that was there before disappeared. It saw Lin Lang trembling all over as he looked at the wall that cut off his last bit of hope. He knelt down with weak legs and knocked on the wall weakly with his clenched fists, as if hoping to knock out a passage. It saw that he was completely hopeless and on the verge of despair, his sanity completely destroyed. He was like a fish thrown onto the shore, jumping around with his last bit of strength and finally dying of exhaustion. When the audience in the live broadcast room saw this scene, they all closed their eyes in pain. A hero with nowhere to go is more heartbreaking than his sudden death. Only Nick Fury kept his eyes wide open. What are you doing? Just Lin. In the picture, Lin Lang seemed unwilling to give up, and he stood up again shakily, holding on to the wall. He took a breath, then used himself as a starting point to feel his way towards the remaining walls of the room. With every step he took, his hands frantically groped around on the surface, as if hoping to find a switch in some corner to let him out. His pistol and dagger were at his waist. But surprisingly, he also tied a glass bottle containing some solution to his waist with a rope. Maybe he was too panicked and did not put a stopper on the bottle. The liquid in the bottle spilled on the ground from time to time as his body swayed. Maybe now he is like a drowning person, desperately trying to grab a life-saving straw for comfort, even if that straw seems useless. However, after repeating this behavior several times, Lin Lang seemed to have finally found his destination, altar. Dong 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 dong, this is the heartbeat of Nick Fury. At this moment, he suddenly had an idea that even he himself found incredible. Perhaps. Does Lin Lang really have another solution? He knew that hope was close to zero. But what if? The huge black shadow was still quietly waiting for the Lord's coming, but soon it was disturbed again. This time it was not a sound, but some kind of spiritual induction. It looked towards the center and discovered that the insect was standing on the altar in the middle. He held his head high and looked it in the face. His eyes were filled with a disregard for life and death, which was completely different from his attitude just now. But what is more attractive is not Lin Lang's abnormal mental state, but his appearance at the moment. He was covered in blood and had many scratches all over his body. These wounds all have one thing in common, none of the injuries were fatal but they would cause heavy bleeding. At the moment he had become a bloody man, his face pale due to the massive blood loss. The blood flowed onto the altar at his feet. He had some connection with it and could feel the blood spreading on it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.